Breakfast.
We are-
Thank you, whoever.
I apologize.
Oh, want to do the same drill with lunch today? Hey, everyone's up for pizza for lunch today, right?
Wait.
Deb says we are ready. I will call safety committee to order.
Yes, Aqua Finance order.
All right, and just before, because I'm the chairman and I can do this, before I ask for the minutes, I would like to make a statement of the frustration that is growing around this table and throughout the facility. We've been doing this for many hours already. We still got more hours. We can go back and revisit anything we've covered. And I'll be the first to agree, we're gonna be looking at, both services and mandated stuff today that, maybe we don't need new vehicles and new equipment, but I'm not in the mindset of making massive cuts in services that apply to every citizen in this county, while we don't make cuts to services that take care of a few. Some need it desperately, some really don't. And my suggestion is, as we were learning yesterday, that there's a lot of these mandated ones that are percentages, and we owe a certain amount out all the percentages, but we don't know those numbers. Carly and I were discussing that. I think that if Al and Brian went and looked at all the ones that we have a percentage invested in, and then took our number wherever we want to set our budget, Brian, and allot those numbers to each of those mandated ones, we will pay them up to that number, and that's where we stop. A good example is the housing. We don't have a lot of housing. We'll house people till we can house them, and then there's a waiting list. And, the massive cost our citizens sending them all over to these other counties is ridiculous.
So should we set that to the limit of what our ability within the county is and not outside?
Right. And, there's been scuttlebutt all around on the internet, of course, going on, and oh, we can get in trouble for this. Well, maybe we can, won't that make good headlines? The whole county is charged by the state because of big city policies that are bankrupting rural communities. That'll make good headlines out there.
Well, and they're bankrupting the cities too.
Right.
So it's not.
That's my soapbox stand, and I will now ask for the minutes to be approved from the previous meeting. So Daryl, John, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Alternative sentencing.
First, I would like to take care of our fellow from ACC.
Oh, aye.
He's gonna present what they found out about the pond section. So
Absolutely.
if you come right up and
Oh, sure.
Put
take
you in
care
the
of that
hot seat.
first.
Sure. Thank you for your indulgence and for your time. I know you've got a lot on your agenda.
Not gonna wanna listen to us today.
All good. I'm Keith Kaplan. I'm the Vice President for Administrative Services and Treasurer for SUNY Adirondack. Came before you a few months ago. What we're trying to do is sell the Crockwell Pond property on Sanford Street in Glens Falls. As the college is co-sponsored by Washington County and Warren County. Anything that involves real estate, anything that involves anything of this nature is something that needs to come before the counties. We had gotten a resolution authorizing us to sell this property. Just a refresher, we don't use it. It was bequeathed to us in 1980s by a generous donor who had stipulated that the land cannot be developed. Frankly, it's a pond. It cannot be developed. So there was no need for that stipulation, but there it was on the deed. We had an appraisal that we had gotten a couple of years earlier, I think in 2023, saying that it was worth $100,000. That seemed kind of high to us, but it was the appraisal. So we had paper and we had to go with whatever paper we had. We went forth. We were about to list the property once we got the authorization from you folks and Warren County a couple of months ago. And our attorney noticed a problem with the appraisal. The problem basically was that the comparable lots that the valuation was based on were building lots. This is not a building lot. Okay, so we asked for a new appraisal. The new appraisal value is $18,500, $18,500. And that specifically now says it's not buildable and compared to other not buildable lots. Just as a side note, the city of Glens Falls is interested in buying the property and they've allocated funds in their next year's budget. Or whatever the value winds up being, up to $30,000. So, once we list it, we do expect to get it sold pretty readily. So I'm sorry to take this much time, but we want to follow process. We want to do things the right way. Now that we have paper that says 18.5, we do want to list it at 18.5. The previous resolution set gave the $100,000 number listed a couple of times in the resolution. We just want all the paper to say the right numbers.
So 18.5 is the number you're looking for to change on this paper.
Yeah, so we would be looking for the previous resolution to be amended to reflect that.
Do we amend the resolution?
Could make a new one just as easily. You have your hand up now.
No, I'll make that motion to, for a new resolution.
At 18.5.
At 18.5.
Finance.
Yeah, that's
Finance.
finance. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry to take so much.
Thank you.
Glens Falls, that's it, nice.
Morning.
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 Yeah. I have one business item and it would be permission to apply for a grant. Well, that's fine, but, so this grant is a DCJS grant, and that's just the grant information. About the program, it's called the Alternatives to Incarceration and Reentry Services and Interventions Grant. And our dollar amount that we would be looking to receive would be between 120 and 130. We have not finalized what our budget would be. However, point ones would be about 109,000 would support the point ones. Our program that we're looking to really just expand upon a bit, we already do a process called a risk assessment process for those charged with domestic violence charges. So we would just be enhancing the process. So it's something we already do, and we would be writing the grant so that we can track to see if our intervention is actually beneficial, because one of the things that the state can do is track recidivism for any of the programs that they support. So that would be potentially beneficial. So I just need permission to potentially apply for this. The application is due on October 15th.
And you don't need any new people to do
I
it.
do not need any new people to do it. The 109,000 would go to point ones, and then there would be some purchases that we had outlined to cover some of our memberships that we had in our budget. Some training that would be specific to domestic violence. And then we would purchase some of the journals and the change company books that traditionally we use for other programs also. And bus cards for participants for transportation, and then possibly a contract for our online journaling platform would come out of that for a total of between $120,000 and $130,000.
Karen.
G and H seem not big.
GNH.
No match, says $20.
Yeah, so I just followed the policy, so there's no match requirement. However, like other funding that supports our programming, we use 13A funding to support our pretrial program and alternative to incarceration programs. And then we use some of our the grant that we get for pretrial services if we get that grant. So there's no cost. As far as there's no match requirement, there are other funds that we get that supports all of our alternative to incarceration programs. It was a little unclear, so I thought that that's what they were asking in the policy, if that makes sense. The match, so as far as it's a reimbursement, so we will need to claim when we submit our claims to the state, it's a certain portion of salaries that get sent to the state, and then they reimburse that. Or our direct expenses, say to buy the journals, we would submit that and then we would get those dollars reimbursed. That makes sense. But no match in that we're not getting $120,000 and then have to show another 50%.
Those some rules for Al. But that's like right out now.
Yep.
And you probably already thought of this, but I would encourage conversations with the DA's office and
Yeah.
their crime victims people. Because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and there might be some benefit there, a synergy between the two programs.
Yeah, not just the DAs, I want to include the public defender in the
Wonderful.
conversation too.
Perfect.
So we have to have those conversations fairly quickly.
That's where we
To
fall
try to get
apart
them,
is in
yeah.
that conversation, so.
Your motion from the safety committee to approve going for this grant.
I'll make that motion.
Second by John. Any more discussion, questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Alternative sentencing, we gotta go through your budget.
I
Yeah.
don't think so, because I did it
Did
yesterday.
it all yesterday. I didn't know if there was anything else.
There was nothing.
Okay. Okay,
I guess those point ones that she's talking about, that could offset some of our costs.
weights and measures.
Yes.
Roger, where did you say that? Then it went on.
Revenues, page 18, is that right?
Yep.
18.
Hey, you wanna talk about your revenues?
The only revenues I expect are the state going testing. Right, small fines.
Right? And 179.
Pretty much all expenses are the same. Small increase in my dues and subscriptions. One of them is increasing this year. That's it, though.
Did we get you a new truck last year?
I just got it last week.
Took a year, but
Yeah, I was gonna say.
can you sell it that quick?
He's gonna go.
Does anybody have any questions on the budget?
No, sir.
Dan?
Strange question, but are we required to have weights and measures?
Yes.
Yes.
And everybody that has use scale has required to have them certified, right?
For commercial.
Can we charge a fee to certify scale?
But don't want to. Because in my view, charging a fee makes people less likely to tell me that they have a device that needs to be inspected. They know they're gonna pay $5 or $10.
I see that point. I'm just thinking of revenue fees. Good thought.
By having them correct is really protecting the people that stop and buy from them anyway, so. I think that's a
But
big,
isn't that what, and our code enforcement, all that is, we charge a fee and it would protect the people, so it's all the same.
it's a little different, the way he just said it though. So you're gonna deter them from getting it correct.
And that's what I said, I agree. with that. That's all, I'm just looking, we're here to try to find money.
Yeah, so
Couple of things, on the education and training, can we bring that down to 500?
Probably not. It's 410 last year, I expect to go up this year. That's, and I only went to the conference for 2 full days out of the whole week. Like a lot of next year. I probably won't spend 7. It'll be close to 600, I guess.
So we could go down to 600.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, next question on the mileage expenses carpool. It sounds like you just got a new truck, and so does that go into carpool? Yeah. How does that work?
It's under carpool, but it's his vehicle to drive.
So it's his vehicle under carpool, that's why the expense for the carpool,
Yes.
and that's reasonable, 7,000?
It's considered a fleet vehicle, so he receives a monthly bill from DPW.
Thank you.
What's up?
I just, Dan, what is the travel other that you put $15 in?
That's for trolls. When I go to training.
Okay.
Not the good way. I don't really know how that works though now with the booths anymore.
I think
I don't know if they send them.
the way I understand it, the bill goes to DPW. So
I
you
never-
shouldn't need
I
that.
never saw anything this year, so.
Okay, yeah, I think we can take that out, and that, the one right underneath it as well, the printing, I think we can take that out, right? Do you agree, or?
Oh, I think this year. Yeah, you can take it out.
And then what's your maintenance contract for?
That is for the program WinWham, which is used for package testing. Mostly, I could use it for a lot of things, but I believe the license is just for package testing and. Actors. It's just software on my computer.
Cheapest software we have in the county.
So that should probably be under IT.
It's so specific to his job.
Yeah.
All
They
of
all
our,
are.
It's testing.
they're all supposed to be under IT.
We can move that one over.
I don't, that's just been in my budget since I
Yeah,
did the job.
we might want to talk to Terry about it though, because we got them all consolidated in her department. It doesn't help the budget, but it probably belongs to Terry.
And then your testing went down to 200. Did you explain? You think it's gonna be a lot less than what it was this year?
Yeah, I got almost all my equipment tested this year.
Oh,
I only have a couple things that I'm debating if I want to get them certified or not.
okay. Thank you.
You've mentioned several times, we're gonna have to get a new
prover. They actually
But the
approved
200
it
is
this
going
year
to
when I
Terry.
got it certified. They certified it. So it's good for 5 years.
She needs to know it exists.
Should we? She does.
I mean, it's gonna be
This
like,
isn't the year, but sometime in the future, when we start looking forward to doing something, get lined up for a new. You said this one is how old?
8 years, maybe 7 or 8 years.
70 or 80 years
We're gonna
old.
be consistent.
How much is the new one?
What's that?
How much is the new one?
I think they're around 50 to 60, maybe even more now. I don't know tariffs, so probably a lot more. It depends. You can get different versions that cost more. There's really only like one manufacturer in the country. Not a lot of options for.
Any other questions? We thought it was gonna be real simple, but they just way is. Thank you very much.
You know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, dear.
Oh. Morning, everybody. Page 11. All right. So the building permits. The 0.01 there, I'm leaving that even. This year, we're gonna be, lower than the 90,000. But next year, I'm anticipating us bringing it back up.
because I'm gonna be presenting some fee increases. Folks, committee, so that we can hopefully get those in place, January 1st. Heating and chimney, I'm leaving that same as what it's been in the past. Permit renewals, I'm increasing that income $5,000. We had increased that fee recently, so my $30,000 estimate is actually a little bit low for this year, so I'm adjusting that to 35,000. Same thing with the CO searches, that's gonna go up 1,000. Again, my estimate was a little bit low for what we'd be looking with the new fees. The other three, the fire inspection, septic permits and other, those are all even, that's the same. Fines and forfeited bail, that's $11,000 increase. We've increased some of the fees for that. And, we're issuing them a lot more than I thought we were, so we're adding 11 for that. All right.
Any other questions on revenues before we move on?
What kind of percentage of fee are you looking at for an increase next year when you come back?
It's not gonna be across the board. I'm gonna actually compare it to what neighboring municipalities are doing and base it on that.
Okay.
So some of them might be at 20%, some of them might be a couple bucks. Whatever I can get to be comparable to what's around us, because some of those fees haven't been looked at in much years.
You're gonna comp against Warren and Saratoga?
Yeah, and I look at Livingston too, because they're, my understanding, the economics and stuff, they're a little more comparable to Washington County, so I bring that into it too.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
And actually another one on page 11, we're going to be adding another account to ours. It'll probably be a 0.08. That's gonna be for the fire inspections that we're gonna be beginning to charge for at the beginning of the year. So that I'm estimating, hopefully low, estimating 20,000 coming in on that, 20 to 25. We have 363 inspections that are due next year at 75 apiece. So that's $27,000, and that's if everybody responds on the first letter. If it doesn't, and folks remember the price goes up.
Right.
So
Exempt our churches. What's exempt?
churches and municipalities, if I remember correctly. I don't think I included that sheet.
That's all right.
It was, yeah, it was whatever everybody had agreed to before, but yes,
Right.
churches were out. And I think it was municipalities, towns and stuff.
So you're adding a line, but are you adding more money that isn't already here? Money?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, the additional 20 is estimate for that, and I think that's gonna be low. I don't wanna overpromise.
And that's only if they pass.
No, that's to get it in the first place.
No, if we pass it.
It's already been.
This isn't one of the fees that you're gonna ask for.
No,
then.
we've
It's
already
already
done
been.
that.
This is the one we've done.
Yeah.
So, but you've built in ones that we haven't passed yet. In this,
Yes.
it sounded.
In the 90,000, yes.
And the 35,000.
No, the 35, no, that's already been approved. So the 90,000 is the only one that I think we're gonna stay at 90 because of the new fees that we're gonna be putting in there. Right now, it's currently 80 is what my estimate is gonna be for the end of this year. We have.
Are we do all this things to make it work?
Yep, we have more permits, but they're smaller projects than before, so.
When you're adding it for fire inspections.
And it's separate from school fire inspections. This
Yes.
is to be,
I wanna keep them separate so I can track them individually. Thanks, Chuck. I'm good on the revenues.
All set on revenues? And
Yeah, I'm looking, you projected 173 for revenue for this year. Are you on track to hit that?
Um. We are, see, we're about 10,000 low on the 0.01. Let me get it out of the paper here, hold on, quick sec.
But it's still 3 months left, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, in general, without getting into the nitty gritty unless you want me to,
No, I know, I'm
I
just
think we're
general.
still on track,
Okay.
or we are still on.
We ready for expenses?
All right, page 64 is where I start. Okay, so, overtime, I'm lowering that by 2,000. We haven't hit 7,000 in quite some time, if ever, actually, for that. So I'm reducing that down to 2,000 for that. The next one I have any say over is telephones. I'm reducing that by 500. That we might be able to reduce even further. The MyCollab software that is used for the phones here. I don't know all the details behind it, but what I would like to do is get rid of the cell phones because we have iPads. And with MyCollab, you can run the phones through the iPads. So I should be able to reduce that once all of that is in place, but I do not know when that will be.
Your iPads, so if you got rid of your cell phones,
Yes.
do your iPads have like a location device, GPS?
Yes,
And they're active?
they can be if they aren't right now. Yes, they can be right here.
Trying to gather information on that, so you would get rid of your cell phones.
Question is, comes from the context of the conversation about, from a safety perspective, being able to identify where an employee is located. Should a problem arise, they need assistance.
Right.
Yeah.
You can take pictures with the iPads.
Yes.
You know, that.
Yeah.
Your iPads. And you're gonna get rid of the cell phone. I'm not sure, do the iPads have dual SIMs?
That's what-
Because we have gaps in the telling. One of the concerns that we're looking at is how do we track people if something happens? Or they're out of range,
Right.
then you're not gonna be able to locate.
They're both through Verizon, so I don't know how that all works. If one has more coverage than
That's
the other.
probably good because they're expanding, we wouldn't believe right now.
Okay.
That's probably a good issue. There's still gaps.
Yeah, I don't know if there's,
They're not turning that.
I don't know if having both is better than having one as far as the coverage, or if the coverage is the same one or the other.
Dual SIMs. Don't dual SIMs have more than just Verizon? Don't they?
Right,
Don't
they'll have AT&T.
So in some places of the country, Verizon's good,
Right.
other places AT&T.
Yeah.
In some places, no, but the dual SIMs allow coverage, no matter what, if there's at least AT&T and Verizon, right, in one place. So that would be the reason to keep the cell phones, because you have dual SIMs, you can locate people if something happens.
Joe,
They
you
do have,
you had a discussion with Terry and I.
about dual SIMs and stuff. I
Yeah.
have no idea. The first time I've heard this.
You might wanna, I would suggest talking to Terry about it, just to make sure that the iPads are gonna actually suit
Be
your needs.
comparable.
Yeah, that you don't wish you had your phones back, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, iPhones, iPad is basically a phone too.
Right, the iPad.
They are.
So basically, anything you
don't
don't have,
have-
they do have
you can
separate-
put in an iPad.
You don't have to carry both.
Right.
How often do we get code enforcement guy into trouble?
The one in the pond. I got a picture.
I was trying to not say anything about that. Thank you. Not very young.
Well, I just wondering, we're raising a lot of concerns on cost for the what if, that was all.
We also do have car radios currently, so there is some overlap in coverage in that, so if it's not working on one. Very good.
We're probably.
That obviously only works if you're in the car, don't have whatever the term is that the sheriffs have where it's on their shoulder and still goes through the same one. We don't have that. So if somebody's in danger, they gotta get to their car. That, it thankfully hasn't happened yet. Ever.
We continue down through.
Yep. Postage, I'm going up 500 in that because we're gonna be sending out fire inspection notices. So it's gonna cost more for that each year. This is the one I've been waiting for. Why is there an $8,000 increase in our office supplies? Because we are getting new books, new codes. They did this to us last time too. We filled out the questionnaires. How many people in your office, what territories do you cover, all of that, and every single one of them, all 17 that we cover. I filled it all out. I said we have 8 inspectors in our office, 8 sets. They sent us one, just like they did last. So 8,000 is a little high. Once I sat down and figured everything out yesterday, what we would need, it'd be probably 7,000, not a big difference, but it'd be almost $7,000. Yeah, everybody in the books that we need to have to do what.
And it's state mandated,
Pardon me?
state mandated.
It's the state books.
Do we have to have the books by law like the lawyers, or can we get something online so that the code guys can access it?
It gets more expensive if you do it online. They have more options. So like if you, it's called premium access. They give us one premium access. So we can all, you know, if I'm signed into it, somebody else can't be. So we have one premium asset access that is good for 1 year. All right. If we were to purchase 3-year set or a 3-year subscription, at the end of those 3 years, it goes away. So you can't access those books. We have to refer back to previous years. Because we might have a project that we're working on, they haven't closed out in 4 years from now, we gotta refer back to whatever books were in place when they got that. So it would be re-upping sets of books every year, so it's better to have books.
So you thought 7,000 might do it, or did you need the 8,000?
7,000.
So we can drop that 1,000.
Yeah, I just figured that out yesterday. Kelly did.
Okay. We need a new bookshop to put in 8 sets of new books in the office. It seems like an awful lot of sets of books.
Every desk has their own bookshelves. So everybody has. their set. I
That's true. Where have you been?
Were you asking if you could share the book?
Yeah.
It's already gonna be on there. Mr. Chairman,
Ask, can you share?
Oh, can we share the books? Gotcha.
That's where she was going.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Functionally, it complicates things a lot doing it that way, because you could have. You can put your own notes in your own books, highlight your own sections, you can. Leave stuff out, like if you're in the middle of a review. You know, we got space where we have the plans out, the books are out, we got our notes all there and everything. If somebody else has to come and take the books. Bring it over their areas to look to that section, it just logistics wise, it's better to have.
would 4 sets work today? It'd only be sharing. You know, there's 4 sets there, what's the odds that they're all gonna be on the same book at the same time? I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Well, do they take them with them? I gotta believe sometimes you show,
Sometimes.
I believe sometimes you have to show some of these people, this is the law. You
Right.
can't leave in the office, you gotta show them.
Yeah, sometimes we bring them. What the 7,000 is. Want me to break it down?
And one more question, how much is the, like a 3-year manual, a subscription for online? Because they have their iPads with them all the time. So can you get one subscription for every?
Well, Well, that's the thing, that after those 3 years, you
And
can't
you
go
gotta
back.
book then because
So
you
you
can't
have
go
to
back.
keep, you'd have to keep doing a 3-year thing.
Right, so what's the cost every 3 years?
Let me see if I got that. No, but if you give me a couple seconds, I can look it up.
That'd be great, thank you.
And they do have a question.
Another question, does, say the fire inspector need all the books as a regular inspector, or does the sewer inspector need everything that is in the books? Or can you get cheaper versions for this department?
That figure. Patrick, does the septics. He doesn't get a set. So
Okay,
that's already gone on that. For the fire inspectors, they don't need them all at the same time as often. So it's one set for them to share, and then it's an additional fire code book. So they'll each have their own fire code. But then they can share the other ones, because they don't just do fire inspections, they'll do reviews on a commercial building or whatever, and they do need to go into some of the other books sometimes. But that would be 5 sets. One for the fire inspectors to share. And then we have 4 building inspectors. Not the proper terms, but they would each have their own set.
You guys refresh them. How does Dan and his office operate with their legal books? Don't they have?
So they have a subscription to Westlaw that's shared between the DA, public defender, and Dan, if I remember correctly. Right? Yeah, they have a Westlaw subscription with licenses that the 3 offices all step into.
You still pay because you gotta pay for the licenses.
Yeah, but you gotta pay a license for each user, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
There's not just one license for all of us.
correct.
And again, the tricky thing with this is if you get the license for the 3 years. We have to always be able to go, well, it's probably the same with go back guys too, you gotta go back with the older editions.
John, did you say this subscription is good for 3 years? Maybe 8,000?
These aren't for subscriptions.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you pay for these books, they're good for 3 years? Is that correct?
It's supposed to be every 3 years, the last round went 5 years.
So I mean, you're dividing that number.
Yeah, and the
As
problem,
much as it's a big expense. Here.
well, you're actually right, and then it goes to, when you go on to an IT-based system, that contract just keeps getting bigger
Yeah,
every
yeah.
year. That's my concern.
Mr. Chairman.
How are they updated, John? Are they like the McKinney's, you get a pocket part to stick in the back with the new laws for the year? Or?
It's a whole new set. It's 3,000.
You mean in the off years? He
Well,
means in the off years,
there-
like
there are
next
no-
year, is there a-
Changes once
Right.
a week. You get new stuff all the time, so is that, a pile of papers that you carry around, or did they?
We don't really get a lot of new stuff passed in between the book series.
Right, 'cause I
They'll
know
they'll
that-
send out clarifications on things and that we get by email, and it basically is a sheet.
No, the McKinney's always, every year you just got a pocket part, front to back, and then go through and, this changes this section, this changes that section.
Yeah, they did that in the 2015 round, because they used the international code books, and then they had a supplement for New York State specific stuff, and they sent us multiple issues of that New York State corrections, but they don't do that anymore. Still trying to figure out this thing.
We can probably decide. Fast.
All right, go ahead, give it a brief like.
I got just a statement.
Go ahead, Dan, since you got to say it, no.
No wonder contractors have a hard time with code enforcement. You gotta send contractors to school every 3 years.
Code enforcement has a hard time with code enforcement.
Right.
I make sure to reference that when I'm talking contractors. I'm like, I understand where you're coming from. we have to keep up on this stuff too. So
I imagine, John, when they go back on these open permits from 5, 6 years ago, and they gotta get the set of books, they're gonna see if they're matching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this year they're not giving us a,
Are you able to find that,
yeah,
John?
just got it. A single license starts at $1,500. That would be every 3 years, $1,500, as opposed to set of books is, I think, 863, and it's forever.
Can you print off that program?
One of the things that I'm including in that price is a PDF. Now, the PDF is not, there's no extra bells and whistles or anything with the PDF. So you can't put in notes, you can't, do all of that kind of stuff. What that's good for is search engine, basically. So you can go on there if you're looking for fire door. You don't have to go through the book. It saves time. You don't have to go through the book and find every reference to fire door. You just type in fire door, it pulls you to where it's mentioned.
What's prep? Yeah,
So if one license comes with a PDF, then all you need is one license. You download the PDF and all aid to get to use the PDF.
But what I'm saying is, it's not
And
as,
you have the historical book that you were afraid you were gonna lose.
it's not as user friendly or efficient using that PDF in my thoughts and numerous other ones that I've spoken to.
But if you all had a PDF that you could put on your iPad or whatever, you can travel with in the field with that much easier than a law book. And it's way cheaper. I know it's only $7,000, but every dollar counts right now. And we have to separate wants from needs. You want to be more efficient with 8 sets. You need 1 set, right? So we have to decide what's best to make your operation still functional.
As the department head
I
and
understand what you
having
have to do.
been doing it, it's much more effective if we do it the way that I'm presenting.
But if each iPad has a PDF on it that's searchable, you can take that into the field with you much more efficiently than a law book.
Can do that now.
What are the benefits of having?
So- Now, maybe the question is, what's the PDF associated with the hard copy, the book, or is it with the site license?
No license.
You're paying for the PDF.
With
That
the
part of the
book
800
or with
or
the
is that
license?
Pardon me,
The PDF comes when you buy the book, or the
No, it's
PDF comes
additional.
when you buy the license?
the PDF is an additional fee. So like you get a set of books, you pay for a PDF separately.
But is that
So
part of
that's
the
what
800?
you've got, that's what you've got,
That's included in the.
so you got the PDF included with the book,
In the 7,000.
so you can print out whatever you need.
Not the
So
site
that
license.
wasn't, it's not the same. I wondered that too, so
The information in the PDF is the same as what's in the book.
Right,
yes.
right, but my point is the PDF is part of the 800, not the
Right.
1,500.
Right.
So, but if you look at a question on licensing, because if you buy a single PDF, it may be licensed to the one user, not to anyone who wants to use it.
Once you download and save the PDF on the iPad, it's not user specific.
Right, the PDF could be sent anywhere. But he's saying the PDF he gets with the book. In other words, you buy the license to get it the other way, which was different than what we were hearing in the beginning of this.
So you pay. I don't remember what it is, 863.
It's fine. There's no appetite to not just move them.
Okay. There you go. So that's the $7,000 increase on that. Dues and subscriptions, printing and education, those are all even. The education. That I would like to keep in there. But we might not be using it because with the state, since COVID, they do a lot of online. We can basically meet our requirements doing free online training through the state. But this year, there's with the new code books, there's mandatory training and we all have to go down to Albany for that mandatory training. So like this year, I'm using that money. Next year, I probably won't. But I would like to have it there in case they throw some.
How much is the training in Albany per person?
$410. Each. And then we also occasionally have, training also down in Albany, $35 a person. For other topics that they aren't offering online specific.
Well,
You get, we'll try again. So what we've done in other departments is we budget for what we know. When something comes up next year, you come back to committee. So what we've done in other departments, this number has come out.
Okay.
Until such time as you have a specific training. And then the process is you come back to your committee and say, hey, this has been offered, I would like to go, and then we fund you.
And so that would go through just the committee, doesn't have to go to the.
So you would go to public safety, who would send it to finance, who would send it to the board.
so
Because you would have to have a budget amendment.
I hear you right that the training is this year, the current year.
He doesn't have anything scheduled for next year,
Right.
Pick it up then.
what we've done in other departments.
Get your books, you lose your training. That's a win.
One and
No, he
all.
didn't lose his training, he's getting his training, he hasn't gotten it yet.
Well, I got a question.
That's next year.
Can we go back to the books again?
Go back, yeah.
I didn't think we needed 8 of them. I thought we cut it down to 5 of them.
It was, the books, we're not getting 8 sets. The training would be 8. We have 8 inspectors over there, 8. code
Okay.
enforcement.
How many sets of books are we getting?
5. 2 to share between fire inspectors, 1 set for each of the buildings.
And that's still at 7,000 or is that cheaper now?
That's 7,000.
So I thought the books were $800.
Yeah, 800 and.
63.
That's what I was, right, so that's what I was saying, is if you wanted to, I could go through the specifics on what I'd add.
5 sets is 4,000.
5 sets, $4,365. The electronic PDF is $742. The extra fire book that I mentioned was $139. This here is commentaries for them to help explain further what they're talking about when they're
Look, no,
reference, basically, footnotes. Yeah, that's $12.90. It comes to a total of $65.31. If you'd rather, in the interest of trying to put as much as possible. I looked at the commentaries individually. If we were to just get the main ones, it would be 1 copy. It's not a copy for everybody. It'd be 1 copy of the main books that we use. That would cut about $500 off. Okay, if we get the commentary. There you go.
We're down another 1,000.
So, okay, so that's in the 12,500 line, we're now down to 6,500, is that what I hear?
No.
No, you're down to 11,000.
You're not.
Probably about 500 office supplies this year, because of books, that's why it kicks it up so much.
Right, so it'd be 11,000
We still got
on that line.
other office supplies.
And you took $1,000 or 4,000.
Yeah, if we did 6,000 for the books. That would bring it to 10.5.
Okay.
10.5.
That's right, Bob. Okay, we got,
I'm gonna write this down. Side. Read it down. Yeah. So.
minutes for 2,000, maybe we can cut it down to 5 minutes.
All right,
Good.
so dues and subscription, printing, education, staff development, so we're getting rid of the 4,000 for the education. And as
with
we
the
need it,
understanding, with
I'll
the
come-
understanding that you come back.
I'll
if
come back
something
and get
pops up.
Okay. We
got more lines.
two more, we can do it, here we go. All right, so two more lines, I only got one.
Yeah, just my.
Well,
Okay, yeah,
one more line.
all right. Mileage. You can see in previous years that we've gone over the 48. I added it up to 50,000, added $2,000 for that.
Gonna be enough.
I don't know.
Well, they don't wanna add it later.
So if we need it, then what do we do? If I'm going to ask for
Same
training,
process, back to
for
fighting.
training, I'm gonna do the same thing.
If we don't think it's the right number now, we should address it now.
Don't think I have the averages on that.
2023 is 56, 2024 56.
He'd be 52 if you doubled it, but if it's through July, he'd make it unless price of fuel or something changes. That would be the third. That number's through July.
You know, if we gave him 2,000, we just spent 15 minutes giving the other side.
Yeah.
Have to work with that.
That's what I said.
Another order, but.
What do you think,
Let's
Al?
add $2,000.
What's your recommendation on?
Let me see what you got in there now.
Ask a question, Chairman Williams. So John, and I'm sure you're probably already doing this, but I need to ask the question, scheduling wise. So let's say that, you have a master schedule, so if you got one code guy going out that can do, you can try to do maybe 2 or 3 or 4 and 4 in, whatever it might be, and if you had to go to Putnam, there's a schedule where you would try to schedule them all the same day so they could do as many as they could in that area. We're up there.
Yeah, we all have our own territory, well, I don't, but everybody has their own territories. So they get called and try to keep in mind, keeping the mileage down. Don't schedule one for the morning and then turn around and go right back in the afternoon.
He's at 26, 4.
I thought you probably were, but I had to ask the question. Just so.
We also have one person that starts up north. She lives up there. She clocks in up there, catches stuff as she's coming down through. Same thing in the southern part.
Consistent.
Yeah.
John, do you think with the fire inspections that you're gonna be trafficking a little bit more?
Right, yes.
Okay, he didn't figure in the extra fire inspection.
Yeah.
So we ought to be at 50.
I dropped that.
You're gonna
We're
do
halfway through, we're 20.
however many hundred fire inspections.
I don't know exactly how that's gonna work out apples to apples, because we have been going out trying to contact people and trying to track down people for all of those now, so I don't know how that's going to, we're not gonna have to hopefully do that as much. But we'll be going out on more inspections,
So that dropped last year in September spike last year. So. You get 54.
54. Any other questions for John?
So we lost 2,000.
Where they have it right.
There we go. We'll lighten up them.
We got him that night.
Yeah, that's my.
Heard it on.
John's gonna get up, going once, twice. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Josh.
So when we get the 40N bar, one last, when we get the 40N barn online and Falls barn online, we get the hubs there, is it make sense in terms of mileage, to base cars out of those like we do from Putnam? In terms of where your
The people that cover those areas.
Yeah.
The base is here, currently, and then it would go out from there. I don't think that would make.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Well, we still have to come into the office all the time anyway.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Depends on.
Yes, I ask this question every few years,
Every year. Sorry.
and it has nothing to do with John. It's to do with the fact that the shortfall in this department is over $600,000. And there are 3 towns that I know of, Fort Edward, Kingsbury, and myself, and there might be another one, that do not use code enforcement, yet we're being taxed for it. And 5 years ago, I asked Al to figure out what the town of Easton's share was. And it was over 30,000 when it was a $300,000 shortfall. Now we're up to over $60,000 shortfall for the town of Easton, which probably puts Kingsbury at 150,000. Now, we need to really look at this. It's not fair to my town, to pay that kind of money for a service we don't get and don't ask for. And I'm bringing it up here just to let you know how I feel. And I'm hoping that we can look into this and get it straightened out. I don't even know if it's legal.
Is there
Dana, do you have any comment on this?
Yeah, my only question would be, is there any other service? Benefit.
I don't know. This number stands out at me. But I don't know of any other services that doesn't benefit all the town.
County roads, so he does so much plowing.
And I really think it needs to be addressed.
Well, I would echo, I think we need to question it legality. Legal, and I guess I don't have any objection to it because as much as I don't like it, I understand it's code enforcement provides backup to it at night, correct? Yeah, so we do get that, so I suspect you could as well. Request it.
Is it worth that kind of number to you? 150,000 for a backup
Well,
at night?
I mean, we could go into a whole long discussion about why.
No, I'm gonna keep it short.
So should we go to
Hang on, I'm not done yet, David, please. My question is, I would like to ask Al if it's legal. Or not Al, you're Al, Dan, the guy in the MPC. Can we ask Dan legal?
Would make sense.
All right, and then we'll go from there. Would that be fair?
Yes, that'd be a good start.
It takes about 3 to 4 months anyway.
But even if it is legal, I still don't like it. And
I'm with you.
I guess one that sort of pops my mind, but it's not apples to apples quite, is some towns have a lot more county roads in them that are getting plowed by the county than others that don't, but we all share in the cost on that.
I don't think that's not even close, because that's saying that I should charge you if you drive in my town. I mean, we all know they're public roads, every one of them.
But it is accurate though.
No, no offense, Jay.
I have a pile of
That's it.
county roads.
That's not a good comparison.
or
If we drop code enforcement altogether, have the state come in, what will we save?
The state will help you set up a system. They will not do it.
They will not do it.
No, they'll put it back on every town.
They will put it back on towns and they will help for the interim while one gets set up.
A good example is down at real property when you had the assessor being paid by the town that used the service.
But in an emergency situation, isn't that what you would want to happen if we could help you in your town?
And so I'm getting taxed for a potential. That's what it is. You're saying a potential problem.
I guess what I'm saying is, the way I look at it, all of your towns make up the county, right? Like we all work together. So why would we nickel and dime you? Any of you, right? For what services you use or don't use. We could bill you, I'm sure, for all kinds of things that we don't because we all make up the county.
right,
I don't agree with that, but you make your point, but I don't agree with it.
when the county assessing was doing the towns they were doing, we were paying for that service to the county.
No, I think he's talking about when they had to step in and fill out
Right, but
help.
that's an emergency.
It's
It
like,
wasn't an emergency. They didn't have one and they couldn't find one. That isn't an emergency to the
That
county.
wasn't the case.
It was an emergency to the town. And they asked the county for help. I'm not asking the county for help at all on code.
but that's a choice. Your town boards that have their own.
Yeah.
Code enforcement. So it's a choice.
And that's where everybody started. Then everybody chose to go to the county. And we had this discussion years ago. The county does not have to provide code enforcement. You're not required by law to provide code enforcement. We could do away with it.
No, it's not accurate.
Well,
The
our
town-
county attorney said that. He actually looked it up and said it would fall back onto the state. That the
Right.
county does not have to provide it.
Right, so if the town is ultimately responsible for providing it.
Right.
Then if they decide not to, or they can't, or whatever the reason is, it goes to the county. If the county just says, we're not doing it, the state is going to come back and say, yes, you are, and we're gonna help you set it up. The state is not going to come in and provide code enforcement for the county.
Then you need to
Logistics
tell that
wise-
to the county attorney, because he researched it.
Was it Dan or Roger?
Roger.
Well, I can talk to Dan about it. Because I've spoken to the state about it, and they said that their job would be to come in and set it up. Because, I mean, you think of the disservice that would be to the people in the county. Now, we have 8 people that are inspectors, now they have to go down to the state to get an inspection. It's not a good plan, in my opinion.
They can put a substation here in the county. Workforce.
They don't have the people.
I apologize for bringing this up.
No,
You
Dan,
didn't bring it up.
you didn't bring it up. Okay,
Good question, Dan.
it's a good question for Dan. Dan,
It's almost an unfunded mandate, isn't it, that the county's putting on the town.
You're funding it. Funding well. Yeah.
we thank the 2 guys at the end of the table, for their contribution, but we can find out legally there's something different.
No, you won't. You might find out.
Okay, John, run.
But he got the chance. Well, let us go.
Probation.
We're all gonna be on probation up.
Oh, we make.
Oh, be 9 and 10.
May I?
I tried to make it a little easier. I printed them so you could, you just grab those pages. Well, it is a little more efficient for you guys instead of having to go through 100 pages. Printed the, first 2 are the revenue pages, second 2 are the expense pages, and then after that is some stuff that I'm gonna ask you some questions on, so.
I hope your printing line is enough.
Won't be next year.
Well,
Don't worry, you just get that a lot.
Actually, we wanted one.
some of the prices are, some of the prices are up.
No, I read that.
They gave us 20.
County is not in that.
Hey, hey, one over here.
Oh, yeah, he's got more anyway.
They said if they hit them, if they do,
Deb, did you get one?
Yeah.
All right.
am I right?
It's at the bottom of the page on 9 to start with revenue.
Yep.
A little confusing. It jumps over to the next page. Surcharge on restitutions based on how much we actually collect. The collection is done by restitution clerk. You guys remember last year, about a year and a half ago, we lost a restitution clerk and we couldn't fill that. I had a probation supervisor doing his job and trying to collect and restitution and take care of the accounts. We noticed a pretty significant dip during that period for 24, just because he wasn't dedicated to doing that. As of October 1st, the new restitution clerk's already collected $30,000 more than we did during all 24. So having to get a dedicated person there definitely makes a big difference. Restitution by law is fixed at 5% unless a judge signs a waiver form allowing you to collect 10%. Now that could be a big number. Restitution often comes in small dollar increments of $50, $250, something like that. But then you do get restitution of $20,000. We've even had orders $150,000. Those are multi-year collections. A lot of people that have those kind of orders against them do not have the ability to pay for those. So you try to get them a job first, try to get them stable, and then you start a good restitution collection system. Probation officer does that. The restitution clerk works with them, but the restitution clerk has to deal with conditional discharge cases themselves, because that person might not be on probation. It's, if they violate and they go to jail, they might not ever pay $1 in restitution to a victim. And we try not to have that happen, if they're, especially if there are victims that are individuals that live in our county and it's not a large corporation, like somebody stole from Walmart again. We do whatever we can with the court to try to keep violations open and then try to work with the defendant to try to get that money paid to the victim. You'd be shocked how much money comes to victims where they need it sometimes at really, really tough times. During COVID, we had people in here taking money every day. We never had a day where somebody wasn't here collecting money and cutting checks to victims. So when people were out of work and they were getting $1,000 check cut to them, it was a big deal. And sometimes we don't think about that, but it's a good thing that the court does. I'm glad that the district attorney's office thinks about it logically in plea agreements. And it's our job to collect it and account for it. We work with the treasurer to make sure all of our accounts are reconciled properly, and we get audited both by any internal audit that come down and by the comptroller's office. So those, it doesn't look like a lot. We're projecting $5,000 in revenue for next year, based on about a projection of $100,000 in collections. That could change, drastically. If we get one very large order, it could come in higher. If it's what I think it's going to be for the norm, it's probably going to be around that $100,000 collection area.
So 5,000 is a good number.
It's a good number.
Right.
If we get more,
That's
you know.
pass through.
Sorry.
That's just pass through. That's not really revenue.
Well,
The surcharge.
no, the surcharge is revenue.
Surcharge is.
So, but not the actual restitution.
Right.
But the way it's calculated is based off whatever the original order is. We do send the 10% waivers to the judges. Their prerogative whether they want to sign 10, because some people, they think the surcharge plus the restitution is already a big enough lift. They don't want to add that 10 on. They keep it at 5.
So we charge for polygraphs, so we get 5,000.
So, yeah, so in the past, we had polygraphs that the defendants were coming in, and I worked with the treasurer on this. It was kind of a little bit of an accounting nightmare. We had defendants paying the polygrapher directly. And then whatever they didn't pay, we'd collect and we paid the polygrapher off. And working with the treasurer the last couple of years, that was not advisable. So we put a new system in. The polygrapher will never touch anything. Comes in, does his polygraphs, leaves. We cut a check to him. We receive all money in. So the revenue we have here will show, it is an increase. If you look at it, if you go back to actual amounts, you're going to see an increase in revenue there, but there's a corresponding increase because we're cutting more checks to the polygrapher too, or before he was taking money from the defendants. So there's going to be that, and I'll reference it when we get down to the expense side. We have it in the conditions of probation that they are responsible to pay for their polygraphs. However, if somebody does not pay for their entire polygraph, we don't lock them up, because these are sex offender. Every single case is a sex offender case. The court has really made it clear, and so has the state, that they would like these people in your community supervised. And you work on trying to get them to function normally in the community, not lock them up because they couldn't pay their polygraph fee. So we are still going to hound them to get the money, but that's how that works. Believe it or not, our registered sex offenders are actually employed at a pretty high rate, and which is something that you don't realize with certain types of offenders. Different types of crimes have different employment rates. This is one that people are usually employed pretty well. So surprisingly, you can get a job no matter what your offenses are right now in this market. You can get a job just about it. Any questions about how the polygraph is pretty simple revenue source?
We got it.
The next one, state aid, years ago, the probation department was funded at 50%. That was a long time ago, several decades ago, that started declining at a pretty rapid rate. Over a decade ago, maybe more, it was frozen. That number has not changed in over a decade. We've received the same dollar amount for probation services that we received back in 2015 or 2013. It goes back pretty far, where they have not increased 1 penny what they send you in probation. they increase their requirements on what they want you to do, and the nonsense work at your desk and the assessments and paperwork and the reporting back to them. They have not increased their dollar amount to you, whether your caseload moves, it would have to move drastically for you to get a change in revenue. So in that probation state aid services, it hovers around the same point, and it's slightly different because in that is my probation revenue, but it also is revenue for, we get paid for every PSI, pre-sentence investigation we do on a state prison inmate. Ignition interlock cases received, and that's gonna change. And I talked about this last budget. When we got the notice about Great Meadow, we knew it was coming, and it started at the end of last year and it continued this year, where we see they're not going to charge the inmates with crimes at Washington Correctional Facility like they did Great Meadow. Great Meadow was a more secure facility. They took everything very, very serious. There were a lot of very, very serious crimes that happened in the facility. So when those were prosecuted, instead of handling like an administrative, like a tier hearing, those went to our courts. When they do, we do the pre-sentence investigation, and they send us a check back, where we have to send a report every month of how many we do. When Great Meadow was open, we did a lot more. With Washington, you're going to see very few. That's why for that revenue source, it's going to be about $500 and something instead of about between $4,000 and $7,000 we could potentially get when Great Meadow was open. And those pre-sentence investigations are the easiest pre-sentence investigations that we do out of any, because they've been inside the whole time. So their social history, we attach an old PSI to it, and your report writers can really hammer through them very quickly. It was something we actually did well on. We liked doing them because it helped the revenue source. So we're going to see a reduction in that.
So it pretty well handles the revenues. Where anybody have questions on those? Let's hit the fun side.
All right, let's get after it. You want to start with program or personnel first?
Personnel.
Personnel. All right.
There you go.
So if you flip through here, you're gonna see personnel on your worksheet here, but also the attachments that I gave you after that gives you my salary worksheet. So it has every employee I have there, including my vacancies. It gives you a flow chart of what my department looks like and who supervises who. And then behind that, the last part, I gave you some caseload numbers to show you kind of where our POs are at, where my staff's at. And I think that's gonna be important because my vacancies, we've been looking at this all year long. We looked at it at the end of last year, because my office, we're having a horrible time. We've been having it for several years, backfilling any positions. We've had 5 positions filled in the last 3 years. We were lucky to get a couple of people back from old employees, but we're losing people. We lost 2 this summer. We couldn't fill one the whole year. I just I had an Indeed ad up for these 4 months, got 50 people to apply. Half of them lived out of state or out of the country. And then after that, we only had about 4 people come back, and we're doing background checks on those. Right now, we have a person we'd like to appoint to one of the positions as soon as personnel gives me the okay. So if you look at my personnel line, all of my positions that are in here are in my staffing pattern. One that's included in the salary worksheet in this budget, not funded in the staffing pattern last year. I mentioned it last year. I told you I did not want to fund it because I didn't think I could fill it, and there was no chance of me filling it because I barely filled the ones I had. We've been reviewing this, and under normal circumstances, I would be here telling you I want this position. I want it 100% because of the workload that I see my staff going through. Now, if you go to the last page, this is going to break down everybody that I have in this color coded one here for you guys. This has a breakdown of everybody that I have for a position in the budget and in if you look at the salary worksheet, including vacancies. The 3 red are vacancies. The yellow is the one that I want to offer the position to an applicant as soon as personnel says it's okay, hopefully this week. The first column is my ideal case numbers. In a perfect world, if you say, what should my POs be handling? This is what I think they should be handling. Now, Now, when somebody says that, there's a range. This is the ideal, and you can go up to this before you start to lose track of who people are and your own sanity or how much time you actually can dedicate to something. Our actual case numbers are in the second column. So if I give you an example there. I have 21 cases right now. Those are sconders. We lost our warrant officer. When she got hired a year and a half ago, we had 35 warrants that were active on our warrant list. She did a good job of me to work on our policy. I presented that to you a couple of years ago to start really doing a good job and professionalize our warrant system. She knocked that down to about 23 before she left this summer. My staff's done a good job of clearing their warrants the second they come in, as fast as they can. We cleared up some old ones. These are on my plate right now. I found out, I thought she wasn't that busy until they gave it to me. And then I found out how quickly other people make things look easy sometimes. My probation supervisor has 33 cases. He's taken overload for somebody that is also gone. If you look down at the DWI caseload, woman who's working in that capacity right now at 98, she's doing, so she was a previous juvenile officer who took the adult caseload. She also is hanging on to some juvenile cases because I lost a juvenile officer that we were just training and putting through and starting to give cases to. We lost her this summer also, so she picked up the slack on that. If you look at why people's caseloads are high, we're shuffling the workload around, which you're supposed to do. There's just certain places you don't want to shuffle it, and there's certain numbers that you can't get to. When you get it to about 85 people supervising, if I want you at 70 or 65, you get to about 85, you start to forget who people are. And there was a point where I had a caseload that was at 100, and people walked in the door and I didn't know who they were. And I looked in the computer and I'd already met with them 5 times. That's not a good place that you want to be. So I'm putting this here for a reason, because I want you to see some of the reasons why I think things should be backfilled. Now, there's a senior probation officer of investigations, and she's also a training officer. She only does pre-sentence investigations. She also is our liaison to the drug court. She's there every week for staffing.
Going to taxes.
In 2023, she completed 125 pre-sentence investigations. I'd like her to do about, like I said, 96. That's about 2 a week. Now, these are 5 to 13 pages. In 2024, she did 189. If you break that down, that's 4 a week. It's almost impossible. We met with her and we didn't even know how she got them done with her own vacation and personal time. It's absurd. She's been working here 20 something years. She produces things a lot faster, but I guarantee you the quality of her work went down. Under normal circumstances, I would want that split into this one below it that's red. If I can fill any of those other ones, I can cut this one for this year. I would not want it removed out of my staffing pattern, because if I get years like 2024, there's no way that somebody should be doing 189 investigations.
So,
And
so Dan, what we're looking at then is you have 4 vacancies, 1 with the juvenile, you may be able to get filled. You really
Yeah.
struggled on filling them.
Yeah.
You're looking at not funding 1 and leaving 2 that you'd like to fill funded.
And yeah, to make it clear too, this is the one that was a new fund in this year's budget. It was always in my staffing pattern. It can come out, but I can distribute cases around with the other ones filled. Right now it's getting a little hairy.
So the problem is we have to remove whatever we don't fund. You're just gonna have to remind us.
You mean what, you mean
You're
your
gonna have-
staffing pattern?
Yeah,
You're
Okay,
gonna have to ask.
so you'll just have to remind us and bring them back when the opportunity presents itself.
and I think it's gonna be something that I'll probably discuss at a different committee meeting anyway, because we review our caseload numbers almost monthly, because if somebody's getting high, I move cases to another person quickly. And we try to divide it out geographically to save on time and how fast you do your home visits, how efficient you are driving. You don't want to go from Putnam to White Creek on a home visit. So we have a north caseload, a south caseload. We all share Hudson Falls, whatever. So it's already broken up that way.
So we can take one
This
of
one-
your vacancies.
Yes, one of the vacancies, and this is why, and I think I think you should see it too, to see where we're at. And it's important to see, because if you wanted more than that, you should know what we're dealing with.
No, it's not
Thank
that
you.
we're just trying to, we've had open vacancies and we're budgeting for them and we aren't able to fill them for whatever various reasons, so we're just trying to trim spots. That's all.
I don't think honestly, and this is real, if this one gets filled in the next couple of weeks, me trying to fill those other two will probably still take me 4 months. So I don't know if you guys are looking at this with a position like mine. Before you get people in here, I might only need 10 months out of that personnel for a couple of these, because if I can't get them until February and actually get them on the books, but I don't know how to gauge that right this minute, but it might be something in another month I might be able to tell you.
And,
You know what I
and that's what the mindset's always been, Dan, but on this year's budget, we're trying not to over budget. Even though we aren't using it and would carry over.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I meant
Yeah.
revisit
Yeah.
my budget numbers. If I have further cuts coming up, because I know that if I still haven't filled something by the end of the month, I might say, can you take down my personnel line number to only equate for 10 months of one of these positions? Because if I know I'm not gonna be able to put the person on the books until February, why are we paying for
So I
January?
think right now, given what you just said, we can remove one vacancy.
Yes,
And then take one of the others and budget for just half the year, July to December.
Because-
probably fair.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
just because of how late in the year we already are at.
Yep.
So
So which position are you gonna eliminate? The investigations or the?
Investigations right off the top, and that's where my mind, they're all the same title. They're all the same title, but I shuffle them internally myself,
Got it.
and but this is good for you guys to see, because this is how I have to staff you.
Well, thank you for that.
Great.
You're down 1.5.
Yep.
Yeah, sweet.
All right.
Way to lead, Dan, way to lead.
one.
Let's see what I can make you
Or
up.
it's coming from other departments too. They just don't know it yet.
I know, so it's reality.
So, just a budget question. Are they already budgeted in this one off this budget number?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we know how much that would be at this point?
I can tell you what the salaries would be. I can't tell you fringe off the top of my head.
Right.
Right.
We did.
$59,362 for an annual salary.
So it brings
So
that-
90,000.
1.5 of that for salaries.
Salary with fringe, I'm sorry, is $84,294.
So we're taking 1.5. So
Correct, right.
We just gained 120,000. Thank you.
You won't get the benefit of all the fringe, but the retirement bill, that number won't.
Right,
Yeah.
because that's for last year.
But spitball,
And this-
120.
All right.
That's what we just did for this year's.
Yeah. I had a little more for it, sorry.
For this, Dan.
If there's been no one in the position.
And then
there's any
26.
retirement funds.
Yeah, and some of them have gone filled, yeah.
121.
If we're gonna make that up, bring out earnings, what are we gonna?
Do we want, are you ready to go to the expense side?
Well,
Or do you want to discuss?
well, I did put in $5,000 extra in overtime, because with cases, with vacancies, that I'm gonna use overtime. I've already frozen overtime once this year, so it's kind of a wash if I don't have a position filled for a whole year or whatever. Other people are doing that job one way or another, and it's outside of their day. They're staying later, they're coming in at night or on a weekend, so that's why I was thinking 25.
You might as well start right down your list. There it is.
Okay, so that, I just wanted to mention that and went to.
Well, somebody was gonna ask, so
Yeah.
now we know already.
The on-call number for the raise the age, the gap one, the youth one is set. That's set for all the departments involved in that. That's auto filled into my budget every year. Next page. Equipment, $5,000 for new employee bulletproof vests. They're fitted individually. 11 people were fitted this year, and I wanted everybody to be hired. So I could try to do it on the 50-50 reimbursement. We're not gonna be able to get to 50. We weren't granted the 50-50 for every one. The sheriff's department and I, we split them, and they get more vests, they get more reimbursement. But if we only fill one position, we buy one vest. Fill two, we do it that way. But I will also lag it, and I have vests in the office. We keep as many as we can that are in good shape. We swap with the undersheriff. We kind of have a thing where we go back and forth. So we'll also try to limp along any vests we have that are real good. Which we do have this year. We have really, really nice ones that are coming out, like mine. It's in very good shape.
I think we learned just last year that they expired. I don't think everybody knew that.
They
Yes,
do.
the plates expire, they have a shelf life.
They do. You know, I've always been weary of that because I didn't know if it was a thing for more sales,
No.
but they shoot them and they tell you how they perform now
So-
compared to if they're 5, 10 years old.
There is a significant reduction. If you drop that vest on a hard surface, you're gonna need to buy another.
It was interesting. I think we just learned that last year.
So good. They take a dive on the ground to avoid gunshots, they could bust it and get shot anyway.
It reduces the effectiveness of the, it's just like dropping a helmet, like a safety helmet, a hard hat. You drop a hard hat, you should.
They are very good. We shoot them at the range to show, especially younger officers, why it's important to wear them because they're fabulous. We've shot them with higher caliber weapons too, and we put a watermelon around them to show like the impact. It's it's amazing.
Kind of smell like a person.
No people. We don't shoot them with people.
I like watermelon.
But it's they're actually they're unbelievable. They
We're
perform very well.
hard on making this video.
That's gonna be the fun part of the job.
To answer your question, you will get better.
We're going down your line.
Telephone, our telephone line has two hotspots in that budget. Mobile hotspots, we had one before, we went a year without it because after the flood, it got zapped and we didn't replace it. And we waited till we actually had an office again to buy those. The hotspots are very important, not just because you need cell service, but if we access eJustice, the state's rap sheet system, anywhere, you should be on the hotspot because it's controlled by IT and it's a secure site. I don't want people going on somebody's random Wi-Fi network. If you're accessing eJustice, it's not appropriate and it's kind of against the rules. The FBI has trainings they make us do every year to use those systems, and it makes sense. So when we're here in the office, we don't need that. We use our IT system here, but they're pretty important. Postage is up. We do a lot of mailing. I know some departments don't. We still do a lot of paper mail because we use our mail as evidence in the cases when people don't respond to us. We also do some mass mailings at different times of the year, Halloween, fair time, to tell certain people they're not supposed to be doing things. And with postage going up, that's the increase that we saw. Our meal reimbursement line is at 500. We don't come close to that. However, that's for, and Al, you can tell me how this works. Only for the real meal reimbursement for people that are out at trainings. Is that coming on a different line now, or we should have that line?
Right now, it's flowing through your point ones. It will be reclassed in the near future. I have a report on what it was through September 9th.
So should I have that line at 0 or should I have it there?
You should have it there. And
Okay.
that's where it will be.
Okay.
It was a new process this year that we're trying to work our way through.
If you can give me a better estimate, I'll fix it to whatever that number should be, because 500 is what we put in as a default because we didn't know where we were going to be.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Looks like the rest of the lines hold until you get to
What?
education.
Education, training, staff, this is, so if somebody has to go, we have 9 weeks of training. It's not a full academy. You don't get just shipped out first day, which they did, but they do not. It's incremental. 4 weeks peace officer training. That costs us about $2,500 per person. Sometimes we get a discount if they think that we're the sheriff's department because they pay dues to Zone 5. They'll send us a smaller bill. I don't correct them. And we 2,500. So if you're looking at 3 people, that's 7,500 without having any training costs for any of the other officers. They have to have 21 hours of continuing education every single year. Some of that is nonsense stuff like our targets for the range and things like that. And new officers also, when they have to go to their firearms training, they bring their own targets. They go to Saratoga, they make them bring 2 different kinds of targets. So it ends up being very close to that number for 3. If we hired 4 in this, like I was originally thinking, we weren't going to have enough, which means I would have told one person they were going to wait to go to training a little later. So this is as accurate as I could assess for 3 people to go through. Now, there's training classes for all through the year. We go to Zone 5 in Schenectady. I have sent people out of the area where they don't charge us, but we end up having to pay for the hotel. And the hotel is a lot more than what Zone 5 charges. So it's expensive to send out of the area. The reason I had to last time is because we couldn't get them into a class locally for over a year. I had to petition DCJS commissioner for a waiver to go over a year. They have to have their training done within a calendar year. That's how it works. So it's a kind of a pain in the rear, but it's easier to get them into the Schenectady class with funds and traveling back and forth.
You've got one employee totaling $72 in meal reimbursements, so if that kind of helps you gauge.
Yeah, I can cut that easy in half.
And they would be kind of linked to your training, so if you know what your training is that you're asking for, you can kind of.
Yeah, I guess we have to do, I have to look back 2 years where, because they don't get fed at the academy.
Yeah.
I'll check that.
So
Looking at your uniform and clothing line there, we've had 2,000 in right along, but haven't used anywhere near that over the years. Is that something that could be cut back or?
Well, it depends too with these 3 people. So when they go to the academy, they need BDU pants. They need an identifying shirt. They need, believe it or not, wrestling shoes and headgear because they fight with each other. And that's what I had to outfit the last person last time. If I want to also buy, last year I wanted to buy it, and I ran out of money late. Tourniquets for every person to carry on their vest or on their stuff. Those aren't a fortune.
as far as that goes, you probably should talk to Tim Hardy. I think he's got a ton of those stop and bleed kits that he might just be able to.
I did ask him about it before. He told me he could do the training, but I didn't know he had the kits. Because if he has kits, I don't have the kits in our cars
I
even.
believe he had supplies. I would ask him
Okay, I'll talk to him about it, because that's,
just in case.
I asked the sheriff when he gave them out to the schools, but that money was dedicated for him to give to schools in case of the school safety.
We may have already blown through what we had, but.
I'll ask.
It's worth an ask.
I'll ask, because I have a list of things that I need to buy, outfit people. So this, when you look at uniforms and clothing, that's also our gear. So your holsters, if you break a tab on your holster, you have to buy a new holster out of that line. The cuff case, magazine cases that we carry, pepper spray will come onto that line for this year. So that's why we kept it at the 2,000.
I'm down through.
Yeah. The ammunition line, are you projecting, you're projecting flat, but looks like our expenses. You got a surge coming, you think?
So no, this was a carryover. We had a billing issue where it was a late year PO. We built it into this year. So this year I'm not ordering anything else for the rest of the year in this line. Next year would be a normal purchase.
Okay, so your 2024 actual was delayed, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
If you see how low, you see 24 how low it was?
Yeah.
The nail was higher.
Yeah.
So those kind of wash out a little. So I'm done. I'm not buying anything at the year end here. And then next year. So, and when my people go through training, every new employee has to have 1,000 rounds minimum for their initial recert. And then POs every year have to do, we do 100 rounds minimum, but 150 or 200 is more appropriate. If you're really hurting, you keep it at the 100 unless if somebody doesn't qualify first time through, they have to do another course of 50. Our people are very good. They qualify first time. And hopefully the new training that they want to do, the Municipal Police Training Council, they want to make it a little harder. If they do, that will be more. So people have to do it because they fail. You have to run while you're doing it, which is understandable.
Your subcontractor line is
Subcontractor, yes. So our polygraph examiner went from $250 to $300 per polygraph. Which that's a lot of money, for anyone, for us and for the defendants, okay? I have met two new polygraphers. Both of them are a little bit outside of our area. They mentioned when they did Fulton and Montgomery's polygraphs, he went to a hotel. And I'm trying to get information from them on whether they had to share his hotel cost or not. So we could do polygraphs at Fulton one day, do a Montgomery the next, spend the night and go home. So I'm gonna see what that is and see if that's cheaper. If it's cheaper, we might go that route. To an ex-trooper, who's I heard is excellent and is really good. We use an ex-parole officer right now that lives down in Selkirk, and he covers Warren County, us. I think he does Saratoga. He does everybody right up the Northway. He's very quick. He's very good, but the money, you gotta watch the money. So I am already looking to other options for that. Now, we do have, I mentioned offsetting revenue on the polygraph. We are increasing our revenue. So as much as this is going up, I hope that we're going to meet the increase with the revenue side too. Now, in that line, in the contractual, that's drug tests for actual tests in-house that we test, and we are testing a lot of people because right now, especially with meth, when meth kind of hit our area, it's insane how many people are positive every time they come in. We also use language line for interpreter services. Anytime we get a chance, we ask the court if we could use their interpreter, their court appointed. That way they can eat the cost of it, and he's excellent. And he seems to kind of poke and prod information out of people when they're trying to withhold from us. So we'll do that, but when we need it, either in the field or we need it or anywhere else, we'll pull up language line, we use that. That's in also a lab test or a drug screen. If somebody disputes our test and they say that our tests are garbage, they've never used drugs ever in their life, we send out a confirmation test. That comes back, and we use two different vendors, one for the in-house test and one for the lab. So they're like third-party verification. That I hope that at the end of the year, that is not that number, but that's the best I could come up with based on where I saw the trend. I would love to not come in at that. Law books, so you guys had the conversation a while ago. We buy two different kinds of law books. The law books I have in my office are not what my POs have. Mine have some annotations and some case law in them that are very specific to that section of law, which have helped quite a bit for different things that we've had to deal with. Theirs are general law books. They share them in offices, so there's one per office. Right now, we're looking at paring that down, so I might be able to come back with a lower number on that. And I talked to Dan Martindale about if we jumped on with him, with his Westlaw, would that lower the per person rate for the Westlaw account? Because if you're adding 10 users on, if you're adding 14 users on, does that reduce that rate? So they're gonna look into that for me, because if it does, we might be able to move to an electronic format. If it doesn't, we might be looking at just buying less of the blue books for the POs. And I might look at consolidating and just putting those blue books in one room and having them just go share the books. The price has been going up steadily the last 10 years, and I don't see it getting any better. So that's something we're looking at. I do not want this to be my final number, and I'm 95% sure that I'll be able to get that number down for you in the next couple weeks.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dan?
This FYI, and on Amazon, you can buy a polygraph tester for $250 with the illustration. Well, that was the cheap one, $250.
That'll hold up.
You got the high end one.
It'll hold up.
Use that one east.
Talk later. Dan, if you have a chance, we'll get that one, we'll put you on it, and then I'll have you polygraphed by our guy. I'll see how it comes out.
Yeah, for him, because of what it cost.
Stick.
You can do that. They can do that and find water with it.
Dowsing rod.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
See you guys. Good luck.
Your suit's getting a little hotter here.
And it's gonna, by the end of the
Watch
day,
out.
I just saw your budget went down by 50%.
and even if you tell us it's mandated, we may not care.
That's exactly where I'm gonna start. Our budget's driven.
We have page number 3 here, guys.
Oh,
Hey, heating out.
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
Late breaking news.
Go ahead.
Our budget's driven by the ILS's requirements to the public defender.
Can we opt out?
Yeah, you should. The public defenders, they have caseload standards. Caseload standards for this year were 1,500 points. And anything over 1,500 points with criminal cases, we have to pay. The public defender lost a person this year, so in the middle of 2 people, so in the middle of the year, they reduced the number from 1,500 to 1,000, around 1,000. 1,022. I think they're at that number now. So what that means is they can't take criminal cases for the rest of the year. So they come to us. And, that's what drives that's gonna drive our budget a little bit out of whack for this last quarter. Conflicts are another issue. There's a lot of conflicts. The 4-day homicide, 4 defendants, 3 of them we have, 1 of them is retained privately. The fraud case, that construction fraud case, was about $1.2 million. We have 2 people. Public defender has none. Just a little aside.
These are all from conflicts, the reason you have those.
Yeah, they're conflicts.
Just out of curiosity, what constitutes a conflict?
That's a great question. If, there's a witness involved or something, like, if you're a defendant and the public defender's already had a witness that's involved in your case, that's a conflict. Conflicts can be waived, they can be, that's something I guess we should look at. That is a big problem. There really have a lot of them in family court. Family court's just a revolving thing, it just goes back and back, and there's no gatekeeper at the gate.
Same families.
It is, it's really hard. What we're doing this year is we have increased revenue from the increased voucher cost. The state reimburses us for half of the increase. So we get that money in quarterly, which is, it comes out to be a lot of money, like this next quarter is 183,000. So we move that money to our family court line or our criminal court line to make up the difference. And so far, we're holding our own. But as I said earlier, it's a little bit of an enigma because of the caseload standard change in the middle of the year. So I'm not sure where the quarter is gonna go.
So one of the questions I've been asking is, I understand that there's a conflict and you have to move the cases when there's conflict. And then, if I understand correctly, the point system may set the amount of caseload they can carry based on the point system.
Correct.
So the question we've been asking is, because repeatedly in different departments, we hear how the caseloads are getting bigger, we have to hire lawyers, and it's like snowballing. Is there any way, or do you see if it could move through the court system quicker? Is there something that we could ask the legislators or do something to move that to get to see if we could get the court cases through the judge, through the judicial side quicker? Because if there's delays, then those cases aren't being cleared, which is adding to their caseload numbers. So then there's more things being pushed off. Is there a problem also, Mike, that you think could be fixed to help this stuff move along, which would, clear the cases so the caseload would be lesser, which, you know what I mean? Right now, it seems like all of that is inflated.
Right, well, actually, it's the opposite. There's actually a bill in front of the governor now that would require us to provide the funds for petitioners in support matters. Right now, we're governed by section 262 of the Family Court Act, and for certain people we've been assigned an attorney. That's gonna expand tremendously. We have to provide attorneys for, support cases for the petitioner. We don't do that now, but there's a lot of them.
So in reality, this situation is dictated by the state is only gonna get worse.
Yes, exactly. And then we run into a problem. There's 3 referees in family court. And they assign attorneys to people that are not subject to an attorney, qualified for an attorney under the statute. So they'll just come in and say, okay, like for instance, if you're an aunt and you want custody and you have like no real relationship with the child, well, you can't get an assigned counsel. But the referees will come in and say, hey, aunt, you have a counsel. So now we're bound by that. So when we lose, you know, that's a problem for us.
Who are the referees? Are they judges?
No, they're not judges. They're state employees, and I'm not sure how they're qualified to do it, but there's 3 of them in our family court, and they help.
Now, what happens if you just didn't guard there?
I'm not sure if we can. I don't know if we can. I mean, if they're technically, they're like a judge, so the judge overrules us. So if the judge tells us we have to assign somebody, we have to assign
Do
somebody.
we start humiliating judges when they do that? Name them publicly? So they'll get reelected?
Well, they're not elected, these people. They're not elected.
So
They're
they don't get reelected? Are they appointed for life?
I'm not sure how long their appointment is for, but they're appointed by the state.
Okay.
And the other thing.
We'll start humiliating these people publicly because they're the ones increasing the costs.
Yeah, we have one case where the judge, hearing officer told this person that you should apply for, I want you to get counsel. And he wanted custody of the child, but he had an order of protection barring him from seeing that child. But he still wanted us to assign counsel. I mean, it gets that ridiculous.
That's on us, the ridiculousness, it's dictated by the state again.
Yeah, exactly. And then, right, and the other thing we have are the extreme risk protection orders. It's a civil matter and the state was always paying for that. And now the states sent us a notice about mid-year that they're not gonna pay for it. It needs to come out of the assigned counsel budget. And we only do it for minors.
And how much will that cost, Tom?
That is not a lot of money yet. It's not really coming with a lot of money, but it's getting ridiculous. They sent a 5-year-old kid in from Hudson Falls for extreme risk protection order. You have to pay for that. And at the end result, he was told he couldn't own a gun for a year.
A 5-year-old?
Yeah.
And how many dollars?
Oh,
is it a month?
who made that genius?
Uh,
I want to be held.
That comes from the courts. They want our judges, they're telling us the minors, we have to represent minors on the air post.
Right, but which judge that you can't hold it for, you have to wait a year before you can have a gun? Who said that?
I believe it
About a
was
6-year-old kid.
But that was his only remedy, he almost has to say that in the community bureau post. But the real problem is the school probably never should have sent the kid. They should have dealt with it with therapist or something along that line.
Yeah.
Should never have reached the court. Yeah.
Got 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like based on the current pace, we might hit around 654 in the partial rate funding this year.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable bumping your 450 to 6 for next year? I don't see any relief.
Yeah, we put it in because that's what we had received so far.
I don't see any relief in sight. I think you can bump it
No,
up.
yeah, I think we can. We just put it in. That's how much we've used this
Yeah,
year.
I
So you know, right, we
Yeah.
expect about that much or even more. And that number is driven again by the conflicts and.
I think you can go to 6. I think.
Yeah, we could
the partial
easily,
rate one.
Yeah.
we could easily raise that.
So Al, does that mean that we're spending 650 on the lower side too?
So we get half of the increase back in aid.
So yeah, you're gonna lose half
And if
or
you
whatever
get-
the increase is.
And honestly, that number 6 might even be low if you get stuck with some of the costs you just described.
Right. I'm just trying to say we're gaining here, but I just wanted to know how
The
much.
expense is already built in.
Okay.
Yep.
It just seems like they came up with this idea and it keeps going, oh, well, we need to do this, well, we need to do this.
Right.
They're just compounding the negative problems.
And you also have to keep in mind ILS is redoing the caseload standard. So for instance, if they say you need 20 hours on one case, next year it might be 30 of them.
It's just frustrating. It seems to be a consistency through the court system and the multiple departments of the county that all the mandates are costing us
Right.
more and more money and we have no control.
Right, and Mike's doing a good job over there, he's dictated by that. And you can't go over the caseload standards because we were part of the Harrell Herring lawsuit. And ILS is telling us the plaintiffs are keeping an eye on the caseload standards, so you don't want to go over it and put yourself at risk.
Do it.
Yeah. But at the same point, they're supposed to pay. Harrell Herring is supposed to pay these costs.
They're not
and
keeping up their end of the deal.
They're not keeping up their end of the deal.
Right,
So
so
Suez can use a
if
public
they're-
defender.
assign.
So, yeah, you rest. The rest is cheaper at the.
Anything else you wanna note down through on your? side?
No, I know. Get to the
What's
expense.
the, can you give Rolly that we have never had a cost, and all of a sudden we have 15,000 that's coming in, what, how? Just curious on, or not a cost, on the revenue
Revenue.
side.
Well, actually, on the parole, in regards to that, there's a new program with the state and they're letting us go back now and bill for prior parole cases, and we expect to get $44,000 back from the state. And
So should we be putting that in above the 15 that
we
you,
could, yeah, we anticipate 44,000 for this.
So that's the support.
that a 15?
Yeah,
44.
When do you think you do it now?
It's new now.
It's, well, they did away with that program for, I think, 2022 to 23, 23, 24, 20, basically for the last few years. And they didn't fund it, and now they've gone backwards and said, okay, now we're gonna fund it. Turn in all your vouchers and we'll pay you for that, for those cases. And so we've gone through the database, we figured out all the cases. Now it's just a matter of getting all the documentation together because they have a different cover sheet than what we normally use. And so we're gonna have to go individually and type all those in.
Do we expect it before May? I guess that's the question.
Well, hopefully, I mean, they're,
Not the money, the claim. When do you think you'll submit the claim?
well,
By March?
oh, no, it's gotta be in by December. So I'm
Okay.
hoping that we
Don't
have
put
it
it in
in,
your budget.
Right.
Because-
Okay, then we won't.
It's gonna be on this year's, not next year.
I'm hoping that we have it in by, November.
It'll still help.
Next
It'll
week.
It'll help fund out.
It'll come out.
Is it when it's in by or when it's ordered?
So if I know while the books are still open, I have to apply it to the coverage period.
And if they gotta put it in by December.
So
it's
if
already
I
in.
know about it by March, and it's for a period within the 22, 3, 4, 5 years, it'll be booked there.
Won't read your email.
I'm sorry.
So then you would project back to like 15,000 then for next year, if they're still funding it. Or
well-
more.
The one. I guess everything prior to 2024 can be turned in this year by December. And then, 2025, we have till August of next year to get that year in. And then moving forward, it's always August
BC.
after the year. 'Cause
So is 15 a good number for projection then for next year, you think, from what we've done? Or
I think probably 12, is probably closer to what we already pulled.
So we're going the other way. We're also gonna get an extra $200,000 from ILS to be split between the public defender and us for, for various things, and we haven't decided who the public defender or not, how it's gonna be dispersed. We're looking for money for increased vouchers. There's been a proposal, we get an extra 65,000 for that. When will we know before this goes again? I think it's up to Mike and I to figure out how to do it. I think at one point we had this discussion where they were looking for a lot of the money for the increased rate or increase pay for the issues.
We need to get iOS here then, in the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Right.
You want somebody from there to come up.
Yeah, they need to discuss that. In any of your, revenue, case or quality, whatever, that's actual assigned counsel. And Mike's is in his line or his, they're not, it's not the two together and I have to divide them in half or find out later.
No, that's
So
his portion.
It's to me.
That's his portion of the.
Okay. Right,
Anything else on revenue?
no.
Any questions? Okay. Page 28.
On expenses, we put in under equipment $10,000. I'm gonna take that out. We bought the copier this year. We spent the 7,900, so we don't need the we don't need anything on that. $10,000. I can take that $10,000 right off the table. And where's this on?
The equipment
The
line,
equipment line.
26, 25, 25 was class.
Yeah, just take that.
Oh, the grant line.
Yeah, just take that out. Let's see. Any other questions on that?
When you get quite a jump on your time to tell that that's just, that's the way the thing is.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 cases and that's just the weird thing. It's in our budget, but it goes kind of throughout. But through the treasurer's office, you don't know from year to year. It was particularly high this year. We're hoping it's gonna be lower next year. Because it was real low the year before. Yeah, it just all depends.
Like a couple lines down from that, the overload, you've had 26 and 21 past years and we budgeted 120 and we've got 22 so far this year. Is 125 number a good number or?
We're gonna need probably more than. More because you got less public defenders. Yeah,
That's
that'll be
okay.
more. Yeah.
I'm more worried about the family services line, because I don't think that number could be enough.
Which one's that? Okay, yeah. Well, that's, we depend on the revenue from the increased vouchers to fund that. That's why we left it at the 300,000, which we use every year. Then we just anticipate moving the money that we get from the state. That's why we kind of left it like that.
I don't think the 300 is gonna be enough, though.
Oh, no, it's not gonna be enough. It's gonna be way over 300,000.
We should take care of that, but now.
Well, he's thinking that he's got money coming for that.
I just
Yeah, from the revenue.
I just ate that fruit 30 minutes ago. I just put 150,000 in that revenue account.
Right. Okay, so you do want to add it too?
You probably need to add that or more to this line.
They should match.
Well, no, the expense is usually bigger, because we only get half of the increase.
Right.
What number?
We've already brought him to.
Give us the number out.
That's what
He's
we want.
we put him at 598 this year, which is double what he's asking.
Right, but we just thought that we'd keep it, the money coming from the general fund lower and just apply the revenue.
But there's no sense under budgeting, we know it's not enough.
Okay.
We don't have fund balance this year to help. We have to budget what we know.
Okay.
It's a whole different philosophy this year. I think you have to, Brett, I'm sorry. It's,
I'm having a productive day. Thank you.
For-
So what's the number on family
I
services?
think 6 is the number,
600?
I think.
From 300.
Is that a frown?
It's gonna go any lower than 5, so
500 to 600, or 300 to 600,000. Is that what you're saying?
Well, keep it in mind, we're gonna get that back.
some of it,
Some of it.
Some of it, yeah.
but I already took care of that at the revenue.
Yeah.
That takes us up to, the whole 740,000. Just on this, by the way, I'm just keeping that. So what's the matter on that?
Don't ask.
Just those
It's
two
going the wrong-
was
going the wrong way.
you're losing 150,000. We added 150,000 on revenue,
Plus one.
but we added 300,000, so you're at 150.
You're net
minus 150.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
Keep the mass rate.
well, your net cost went up 150.
right.
We're saying the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yep.
I hate to bring this up.
That's
But the
okay.
family services, we don't have family, we don't have full staff there, so are you picking up family?
There is no, there's no caseload standard on family.
Right.
It's just criminal. Yeah, so we're, well, the family is, it's just exploded family work. You know, and everybody, it circles around and the conflicts. Like, you know, that he's doing a really good job with it, but we have a lot of conflict. It's just the way it is.
Just remember, Tom has brought up a very interesting point a couple of times now, that if you just put a $5 fee on some of these filings, you might be able to control that cost a little.
I mean, you could go into family court and in custody, you could say, my wife killed Kennedy, and they take the petition. But we'd have to assign an attorney.
Who assigns the fees now?
It comes from OCA, right? They would have to allow that.
It'd have to be, the state would have to do that. They've looked at that and then, they, you know. Each
Gotta
year,
be at
never,
least-
they don't want to do that. They don't want to do
The
it.
current administration would,
Right.
We can't do it here.
no, sir, that's an OCA decision.
I would say they're more interested.
I think that's what we should do,
The
though.
people who don't represent like. You know,
That would free up the court some, Kathy.
That would get the state's attention if we assessed the fee.
That requires legislation.
Brian proposing just
ACLU.
You assess the fee and then that would get their attention. That would put eyes on
$50.
it. Well, even just 20 would be enough. to
Anybody
get their
could come up
attention.
with 20.
Yeah, but they wouldn't.
You paid for $1 million yesterday, you rejected me, now you want
For 20,
me to go.
for 20. For $20 is reasonable.
Okay, it'll be less, Chair.
Are we ready to go down to the next page? Has anybody got any questions on what we just left? Down?
I got one. Here, I won't.
Tom, do you think we could take a little chunk out of the appellate line? I know you never know what it's gonna be.
Yeah, no, that's why I never know. I think there was one voucher for like almost 15,000 this year.
And our problem child stop,
Yeah.
so on the appellate court. So
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that out. We'll take it there, that's fine.
What do you want to take that?
30? Take it down.
10 or 15.
Out of which one?
Out of the appellate service.
Cut it in half?
I think you go to 20 safely.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Okay.
Again, with the understanding, if something happens, he'll be back.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if those are court orders.
Yeah, the court ordered didn't know the goal, but.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah, cut it in half.
It grants additional criminal court costs, jumping from $800 to $138,000. Oh. The amended budget.
Yeah, that's a big bump jump.
Well,
It's flat, but we've been zero.
0.
For
We
years.
budgeted that, we've used that, then we budgeted that again.
that's ILS money. That comes from ILS.
Okay.
That money. I think
Yeah, but we
had-
must have moved it into a
we
different line.
moved it, I think.
What line did we move it into? Do you remember?
I think we moved it into the family court line, but we were short a couple months ago.
There you go. Take that 138 out. But we just put it into the 6, and we just upped the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we're back in the gold. Chairman.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, about $10 worth.
It's green.
Yeah, you move all those big numbers and find out you saved 1,000 or less.
One other line, the grants, 18B, the neglect line from the third family defense. We, that money came in halfway through the year in 2024, and we've been working with Al's office to make sure that we get the money from 2024 that we were owed, and moving forward for this year. And that's a dollar for dollar, reimbursement up to $80,000.
So that's one that you'll do next year as a rollover. So we don't budget for it in the budget. You'll come in January, February. But
I think Patty gave everything, I'm not sure how long it will take them. But we did the initial request to the state, but I'm not sure, we've already done it.
I need copies of that. Any claims you send to the state, I need to see.
Okay, okay, I think she sent it back.
I mean, for
budget
budget, for
reasons.
budget purposes,
That
you would
doesn't
just come in
affect
January,
next year.
February with your roll.
Right.
I think it was a 3-year, right?
It's a 3 years.
So you put the process here, as you'd come back in January, February to public safety and get the 3rd year rolled into your budget. That's how we do those.
Good.
You hit the bottom, right?
Literally. Literally, yeah, thanks for that.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Tom.
Yes, guys.
Look forward to meeting with you in Lincoln, Christmas.
Sooner than better.
Yeah, hey, tomorrow would be good, so you know that won't happen.
Thank you.
Line here up. On the other side.
I put it in the.
You have good news, Mike? Yeah. All right. Everyone heard that. I have a graphic to display, but if it's not possible, I do have a handout. Ooh. Paper. More. Black and white in these. That's okay. And it is in color.
Yes.
Oh,
Deb, did you get one?
Anybody got anyone?
I got the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're good.
yeah, my God. Thank you. So we are for 2025, we're under budget and over revenue. So I think that is a pretty good place to be, but it doesn't represent where we're really at. I think we need to, it's already been mentioned, to meet with ILS. And this is a general statement. I think what's happening with ILS in both the assigned counsel office and the public defender offices, they're certainly appropriating a lot of money. Some of it is appropriated in places that we can't or won't ever spend it, and it could be appropriated in places where we are underfunded. One example is travel. And I have it here. The last 5 years, they funded travel and to the tune of 15,000 a year, and in some years 30,000 a year, where we haven't spent even a fraction of that. What I've calculated roughly is $130,000 allocated that was never spent just for travel. And I think that's one example. If we went through a lot of these items they're funding, they're overfunded and we won't spend it. And we have other lines we're underfunded and we're absolutely spending it.
We have the ability to go back to them and change that.
Some in that a lot of the funding, any of the funding, actually, if it actually exists, it's through a contract. So with amending the contracts, we can certainly amend the funding, but that's what it'll take. And as I've tried to set forth on the document that's up on the screen and that I handed out, we're 52% funded. And for 2025, the revenue exceeded what we estimated and the expenses were under what we expected.
The reason for the revenue is we had to wait for the contract to be signed for me to claim some of the 23 and 24s. So there's revenue in there that's not specific to 25.
There's also, but they did just add revenue to the 25 contract also.
We had some other prior year stuff in there too.
And one of the items they added was 2025 stipends for the attorneys. And that, it seems at this point in the year, that probably won't be spent. And there's another
We haven't-
example of
We haven't
them.
seen that yet in here.
It's in there. It's in the revenue. And maybe they haven't said it yet. Is that what you mean?
I'm not aware of it even being in the revenue.
Okay. Well, actually, I think where it's at is there's a contract they've said to be signed, but we put it on hold because of this
It's
process.
nowhere in these pages, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's in my budget,
your request,
request and in my 2025 estimate.
your 2025 estimate. right?
Yes,
It's not in our budget and it's not in my action. That's all I'm saying.
not yet, no, but there is a contract here that is ready to be signed.
Is in your 26 requested budget here?
Yeah. Because it's gonna be in a contract. They just wanna add money to an existing contract, and I have a feeling we're probably not gonna say no to that.
Right, we're gonna meet on how the money was gonna be spent though, right?
Yeah,
We know there's additional.
well, they've determined how they believe going to be allocated, which is why I put the contract on. And I guess this meeting with ILS is imminent. And it is hard to do anything independently of ILS because all of this funding is through contracts with ILS, so it takes the two of us to come together and.
But there's so much to do.
Stipends
you're paying for attorneys, the amount of money coming in is the pay. Stipends, you can't pay anything else.
Well, this board would need to take action to pay stipends to the attorneys. You haven't done that.
Right.
Right.
I understand that, but the money.
The money in theory would be budget neutral because they're looking for new expenses.
Right.
But not throughout the county, because of the way we've set up our attorneys. So it would be 10,000 more per attorney everywhere. You can't pay one group and not the other.
Right, but right now, for this budget, either it's in on the revenue side and on the expense side, or it's not in at all.
And the purpose, just to follow up why they did want to do the stipends, they're specifically attorney retention stipends because, and we do have this problem that if we don't retain attorneys, that's more files to overflow and you'll actually see the cost increase at the assigned counsel office. It's kind of a catch.
That's what we have.
Hello.
So I guess I'm still curious, is it in on both sides or it's out on both sides in the budget, so revenue that for 2026?
Where do you have that money in your request?
Is the 0.1s hold the stipends, or do you have a stipend line that I haven't seen?
Do you have the revenue in your request?
I do in 2026, it's an anticipated revenue.
What line? Do you remember what line?
It's the consolidated contract that they want to add money to. So it was, it's a 680,507. And I'd say it was probably in the 500s somewhere. I don't have
So the 680 is the new number with that,
the new number with the proposed contract that is not yet the next.
and then you have the expense side in your 0.1 also.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is another one of the departments where, like Charlie and I discussed, it would be nice on the sides to have what the actual cost of the taxpayers is, because there's so much state money flowing in and out and other things that it's, you
That's why. I think
follow the
this-
bouncing ball.
The sheet, this sheet's actually pretty good that he gave us.
Yeah, I mean, it's as condensed as I could make it. Our largest expense is obviously payroll. 33% of payroll is funded. 66% of our expenses are payroll.
This is exhibit one, when Mr. Campbell told ILS they're now living up to the settlement.
But as a whole, we are, as I calculated, 52% funded, which is,
But 100.
yes.
The settlement agreed them to pay for everything. And this will reflect it there. All the increases from 2014 will be covered by the settlement, by ILS. Brian's argument for years has been they're not living up to that agreement. This clearly shows that.
In Albany, I did ask if I could fire them all, not knowing that half the room was lawyers and half the room were supervisors. And that was a hell of a confrontation.
Good comment. They needed it.
I do have some other points to raise, unless anybody had specific questions about the budget lines. We had a meeting earlier in the year, not too long ago, about Title 9, I believe it is. It is Title 19 reimbursement on family court matters. We did speak to a vendor that pursues those. And that's one thing we could follow up on. It could be more revenue on the family court matters. One obligation of it would be that all attorneys handling family court matters would need to track their individual time. Because the way this Title 19 reimbursement works is it's a percentage of your time spent on family court files. So we do have, we have plenty of family court work. It doesn't stop. We're not getting any reimbursement right now. My own opinion would be we should have further meetings with this vendor. I know there's a cost. But I think the reimbursement would,
More than cover the cost.
well, it certainly covers the cost, but it'd be more than zero. And we're getting no reimbursement now, I
And
think.
my guess that title also would cover the St. Council family court cases.
It would, and they're in a better position to do it because they're actually tracking their time to be paid. We really don't track our time on family court matters, but we would start tracking our time immediately if it was required for reimbursement.
Because I would bet you that on the St. Council side, you wouldn't even need the vendor, that they could already track the time for.
They could, but I think the filing and recovery is, we may not need the vendor. But we might need to dedicate more staff to doing the reimbursement, and then there's a question.
Yeah, I'm talking just on the Town Council side, they're already tracking that for the reimbursement.
They are. I'm not exactly sure what's involved in recovering the Title 19 reimbursement.
Will that cover the other end of it too? I'm danced with them. County attorneys.
It may. I think it's actually parental representation though, so probably not actually, because Dan's not moving the parental.
Dan,
Yeah, you might have covered all this, Mike, but it's getting a little confusing for me. You got on their handout, I like the way it's laid out. Your estimated revenue for this year is 968,000 or something.
Yes,
And your estimated revenue for next year is only 900,000. That's a $70,000 reduction. Have you explained why the revenue is gonna be down?
I would say that the primary reason on that difference is that this year includes the attorney retention stipends.
Okay,
But I'm not exactly sure on that, Dan. I'd have to look a little further. It's a good question as to why this year the estimated revenue is 968 and the revenue for 2026 is $60,000 less. I can't exactly answer it, but my hunch is it has to do with those attorney retention stipends.
along those lines, like you have 2 vacancies that were budgeted for. Are you hoping to fill them? Do you expect to fill them?
I do expect to fill them and we have to fill them. If we don't fill these positions, I believe it's fair to estimate you will pay more through the assigned counsel office on the work that these two attorneys would be required to do.
Now, that's one of the things that Bridget Kelly's trying to get answered.
And I know there's a question about unfunded mandates and I think everything we're doing is required. I don't think we have work. There were work that wasn't required, we wouldn't do it. I believe all of the work, all of the assignments in the office are mandated.
But did you mention while your point was they're down 50,000?
Probably the attorney vacancies.
So you didn't,
I have 2 vacancies right now.
yeah, but we budget for vacancies right now.
Especially if you're paying them extra money.
I just was surprised to see it go down 50.
Well, if the new attorneys wouldn't have the steps that the former attorneys had.
That'd be 4,000 max.
I'll double check. But I
I just don't want to leave you short.
So we've looked at all different ways. Mike and I, we've talked about this. Mike, do you think if these stipends are paid that you will be at full staff and that'll take less to assign counsel? Or do you believe you still won't be able to hire them anyway?
I think we'll be able to hire attorneys.
By January?
Yes.
You think we'll get the full year and that will reduce some assigned counsel work or should?
If we're fully staffed, the caseload goes back.
Will they give it back to you instantly?
No.
How quick do they give you that caseload number back?
Yeah, I mean, it immediately, it'll go up with 1 vacancy. It is
And then go up again, it's a step. for
it's a
each month.
step by the attorneys, right? Let's say every attorney that we had, we could take another 55 or so. Don't hold me to the exact number, but we add attorneys, we can add
So
5.
we're-
We reduce attorneys. They reduce files on us. That's more files to the assigned.
So in layman's terms, if we can get to a point where you can hire, you will reduce the amount of cases
Yeah,
going to assigned
and not
counsel.
to further complicate this.
Right, I'm trying to say in
But
the simplest form.
technically, even at the normal staffing pattern we're at right now, we're understaffed. And this was built in with ILS and the assigned counsel office right in the beginning of Harrell Herring. And it ties back to, we didn't have enough office space for all of the attorneys that they believed we should have. So take my pattern right now, 9 attorneys. It should be like 11 attorneys.
And you got room for them now.
We don't have room for 11 attorneys, but if we did have room for 11 attorneys, that's even less files to the assigned counsel. We have this overflow on misdemeanor traffics that we're paying a lot of money on. That overflow exists because we're understaffed. But we were understaffed because of the office space, and that's been an issue from the beginning of Harrell Herring. And yes, there've been several office space addition and improvements and they've been great. But go back to the original
So
staffing plan.
if you were fully staffed at the pattern you've got right now, you would still have that same problem.
We still have the overflow program for the misdemeanor traffic matters. That's costing us, it's pretty affordable. It's not affordable, honestly. It's much cheaper to have staff attorneys handling the matters, but this is something set up a long time ago as part of Harrell Herring. And we haven't been able to address it because of the office.
Town's got $325,000 in his misdemeanor overflow line, so that Mike's right, that the maths.
Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah.
we would, 2 attorneys
Would
would
be less
probably,
than that.
yeah. And that's existed all the way through Harrell Herring. This, they knew we were not staffed at the number of attorneys we probably should have been at, and the overflow program compensated for that. Then we lost attorneys, and now we're in real dire straits because they took our caseload down. We're sending more files to assigned counsel,
and we pay more than we do with in-house.
Like it appears the biggest cost to town is family court cases. Is there anything in your office that can give relief to the family court line?
Not really, no, and I mean, a lot of that is family courts have
So many
often
conflicts.
more than two parties.
Right.
Because you have interested parties, you have grandparents.
But that's the line that's really.
Multiple
Yeah.
parents, so it's not always just two people. And we do have a lot of conflicts, and it's the same people just coming back over.
So if we were to add 2 attorneys. Of course, that's 4 actually, because you're down 2, but if we were to add that one, are they totally funded at that point? Or not?
No.
Well, they
I don't know
could be
that
if
we'll
we could
have.
switch the contract.
If you amended the contract.
You're right, can we amend the contract to pay for all 4?
Maybe.
Because if you 2 are probably paid for already.
Maybe, and I mean, total funding's hard to achieve because of. They've not kept up with raises and inflation and cost of living.
But to your point earlier in the meeting, they're giving us mentoring money, training money, travel money that we just can't use.
Well,
Right.
we're not
We could get
inclined,
that.
We can move that up into personal services.
there could be reallocations, I don't know that they will. I'm not sure how substantial they'll be, but we certainly have allocations and on lines that. They'll never be spent, and we have other
I'm
lines.
just
that
thinking if they would pay for them and it would reduce our costs, $500,000 or $1 million and the sign council would make good sense.
And it comes back to office space, but an office space has a cost too.
But we probably got office space, we could probably find room for 2 more attorneys. A couple cubicles.
There any other questions? I mean, and it sounds like you're telling us that you have funded 52%, but really it ought to be a lot more and they're just not owning up to their side. Do we hire an attorney for that?
I don't know that it'll be a lot more, I think it could be more. Than the 52% with reallocations and places that we're actually spending.
Dan?
I don't wanna drag this out, but what I'm wondering about, how long have we been, had the 2 vacant attorney positions? And are you estimating your cost for this year with those not being filled till the end of the year?
Yes,
Or-
I believe so.
And so how long have they been gone?
Taylor Boucher left in April, and Kevin Barden just left like 4 weeks ago.
So about 6 months average between the 2 of them. One is more, one's almost 9.
It's been
To the end of the year, it's almost 9 months, and the other one will be 4 months.
And the attorneys that would ordinarily want the job as an assistant public defender seem less inclined now because it makes more sense to be on the assigned counsel panel and take the files from Tom. So that's what we're competing with, is that we would probably have many candidates for the position if they weren't able to do so well on the assigned counsel.
Well, I just noticed overall your budget is $250,000 higher than last year, your proposed budget going into this year. And it's more to do maybe with the fact that you get more funding, if you've had full staff, and I think that's the point you're trying to make.
And if we could get the contracts to pay, so some of that money showing up as revenue you'll never get. That's the problem.
Yeah, never.
The problem is you can't tap into the revenue that's on the line
If you don't spend.
unless you get the contract switched to lines you'll use. This is the most convoluted department when it comes to that. They used to send us the money in advance, which was weird when they built this council, so they cut back on that, but this one's really convoluted.
Any other questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Looking forward to that meeting with ILS.
Yep, I'll set it up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Saturday if they wanna come.
Supposed to be nice weather up here, so. All right. I'll throw it out there.
So what we're doing, Kevin,
Just talk.
Yeah.
I just want to look at it.
Thanks for pushing out that notice.
That's sure. 64. It's 7 miles.
That's a bigger problem.
I would take out 3,000, we all are in it.
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
The other one.
Take out.
And living the dream.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yep.
Oh, you probably. Yeah, I have to see the other way.
Oh.
We would want a number on that. On this one. I got, we're taking 2,000 off.
We run for pizza again? You want pizza? No.
You just.
Oh. Let's go out for pizza.
You did go to the like Friday.
Oh, out for pizza?
Up to you. Every chicken.
3,000 off.
I don't know.
Okay.
Chair's gonna let us eat.
If you had a pizza, you probably would.
So you know.
Your committee's addressing visit.
We want pizza.
Is it already
If
here?
we get pizza, are you gonna allow us to take a break?
You wanna order from, are you gonna take a break? Go back?
What's the committee wanna do? Are we gonna take a break down the road or keep going or?
Well, they're already here. We might as well get these.
Right,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
or do you wanna eat and try to keep, but that gets distracting.
Yeah.
I mean, after these guys, do you?
I'll have
do you-
Order, take a break.
numbers.
Yeah.
Bunch of them get cheesy cake.
Don't fatten me up, I'll fall asleep.
Thank you.
Drop one pizza in.
Let's do the others.
Mr. Roselle, I'm gonna put you to sleep.
What, oh, you have other stuff to do?
Okay, we got a couple others to take care of it when we jump in. Yep. Yep.
We'll start out with some good news. We did just get, we just got notified the other day that the state has created a new, I know you guys have heard a lot about Next Gen 911 from us over the last couple of years. That the state has released a new EZNet readiness grant program, which all counties in New York City can be eligible. What this will allow us to do is build a backhaul that a new emergency services INET is going to run on, so. The old way that typically 911 calls were delivered to us and emergency traffic was delivered to us over copper lines and those kind of things are completely going away. It'll be replaced. A lot of other states are way ahead of New York and have done this already. New York is way behind. So we are trying to catch up. So the state is releasing $40 million to all of the counties in New York City to build a backhaul internally on our end to be able to connect to the new state EZNet. So we've been advised we're gonna get $689,000 to fund that. So since this is a new grant, we just need permission to apply for that. We already know how much we're getting. We want to get that application in, so we get to work on.
John, need a motion?
I'll second.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
This tied to a more more rapid unified response, should it overwhelm a local's capabilities, even cross district?
So the EZNet will allow us to communicate clearer. Right now, like transferring 911 calls between areas that aren't on the same tangent fronts, we can't do it. So we
Yeah.
transfer a
Yeah.
911 call to a different county that's far enough away. We can't transfer 911 to 911, we're transferring 911 to an emergency.
This will allow, it'll be completely network based, so a lot of the limitations that we have now will be gone.
Oh, good.
But obviously, it's gonna be dedicated just for public safety. There's other things that run on all the other
Yeah.
networks that things are on. This will be a strictly emergency services item, so.
Cool.
Yeah, for the
That's good.
future, it'll be a significant upgrade.
In the future, there follow expenses, further expenses to keep it upgraded, or the state will supply them also.
That's a great question. That is one that the answer has not been given to yet. Will there be future expenses? Absolutely. We're paying expenses now for what we have now. I don't know what they'll be in the long term, and I don't think anybody can give you that answer, but I'll be honest and say yes, I'm sure there will be future expenses.
Tim, how does this relate like to, is it FirstNet? They have,
FirstNet, this is unrelated to FirstNet.
so it's gonna be totally unrelated,
Correct.
but that's kind of the way they have, were dedicated, like everybody else's cell phone didn't work. Only the emergency responders' cell phone worked in the event of an emergency.
So FirstNet prioritizes emergency traffic or prioritizes
And this one
traffic for
does not.
emergency responders. This is gonna be only emergency responders, so like you and I.
Will that
in our
replace
personal lives
FirstNet
will
then?
never notice the difference to this. This is how like our 911 systems, how our CAD systems will connect to other systems throughout the state, across the country.
So that, will that if it's statewide, it would be in the Adirondacks too, so that, would that replace
No,
that?
so this is only for emergency operations.
Well, that's what FirstNet was for, right?
This is internal though, like the public, yes, FirstNet is for emergency operations on basically on a cellular band network or on a higher band network. This is going to be like wired network. This is not wireless. This is not anything to do with your cell phone.
But,
This is how all of that.
but to your point, there is bandwidth management,
Oh, I know,
and the state would have to do that. Make sure it doesn't get crowded out.
but they would almost not need that for a certain percentage of the group that's on the FirstNet network, because they could be hooked.
Completely separate.
So FirstNet,
Yeah, I know.
FirstNet doesn't deliver, FirstNet just provides cell service for people in the field or provides mobility service for people in the field. This is how everything gets to us
Yes.
on the inside.
And there's still management on how much that pipe is
Yeah,
allocated for that purpose, and that's not done at any, doesn't have to be done.
it just seems like a lot of money to not fix both at once.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just a quick reminder, I did send out to all of you recently, the state released that state and local cybersecurity grant program that all of your municipalities are eligible to get in on. It has the ability for you to, at no cost to you, get the multi-factor authentication tokens for your own internal municipalities. School districts are eligible for that as well as towns and villages. If you haven't taken advantage of that, it's a good opportunity. October 22nd is the deadline. And I did include that as well. And even if it's not you, if you need help with something or questions answered, please reach out to us or to Ryan Milot or Terry in IT, and we will gladly help you forward through that. I also sent out 2 days ago the anticipated cuts to some of the selected federally funded state homeland security grant programs. The only one that affects Washington County currently is our SHSP, which I know you saw is a significant cut to us, while the overall amount we say is not significant in terms of millions of dollars. $68,000 was our award last round. Our award is going to drop to estimate, or what it's allocated, basically estimation is $6,400, and that's split between us and the sheriff's office. Typically that 68,000, right, funds a lot of either terrorism related projects, hazmat, or other homeland security related projects and programs we've been able to do. So we're continuing to evaluate. I can tell you at the state emergency management level, the president and the vice presidents are planning to meet with the commissioner of homeland security within the next month and talk to her about the importance of trying to see if we can get those funds somehow restored from the state, because those are significant to some of the things we can do. We won't be able to do them obviously without those funds, without tying in locals. So we're looking at everything that we've planned. We don't have anything planned that's unfunded now. We don't typically plan until it's funded.
One little procedural piece, Tim, if your funding does go that low, one upside for you is the capital project would go away and it would just become part of your job. The capital project would no longer be necessary at that level.
Right. No upside, but okay.
Thank you.
Just a quick staffing update. So we,
you guys have asked that we keep you updated. I know. We continue to be one full-time staff member short in the comm center, and it is solely due to the folks that are in there. We run at minimum staffing all the time, so it is solely due to our staff that we're able to continue providing the level of service that we have been for the community and the first responders. We do have 2 anticipated per diem trainees that should be starting in the next month. We're finishing the background check process. And we're just constantly, I mean, it's been a tough road trying to get trainees to a successful outcome. Relative to the countywide ALS first response program, we're finishing the background check process on the per diem medics and expect to have them up and running in the next 30 days. And don't currently have any openings in the fire bureau or the safety division. And the last thing,
That's what you're running to what, next year? That was the grant, that was.
April of next year, yep. So last month, September was suicide prevention month, and we typically, I remember earlier this year, we released a copy of that survey that was done of first responders, mental health statewide. It was really eye-opening and brings to the forefront how important mental health is to our first responders. I know the county has taken that very seriously in supporting the program that Sheriff Murphy has with the Officer Wellness Program and the Responder Health Program. To significantly reaffirm that for you and show you how important that is, if you flip to the, I guess it's the 3rd page in that packet, it's got some color on it. The state released this during September, and it's really eye-opening. I mean, we all know as first responders that it significantly affects us. You all know that it's affecting your community every day, but when you look at the effects on our first responders, emergency communications is the highest of everybody on that list at 21%, which is, it's a significant concern for us as leaders of a department, right? Being worried about our people and making sure that they're healthy and well enough to be able to do their job in support of other people. But thank you very much for your continued support. That obviously shows that it's necessary for all of us. And thank you for letting me go off, the presentation really by taking those in. There's a couple personnel things at the end, that the director will do, but I will gladly go through the budget process when you're ready. So we start with the coroner's deal? Or do you want to start somewhere else? We can start with it. Then. Well, page number, no, we can do that. What page is the coroner's and put it on there? 1185 is their account number. That helps at all. Revenues at 0, so.
Moving along.
29 minutes.
Jim, on the corner revenues though, I thought they were the new program where they were getting some state aid for reporting opiate deaths.
So the problem is we only know when we know. I mean, you could put something in there if you want. If you look, I think we've had 1,500 to date, but it all depends on how many opioid responses we have that we submit is what we get paid for. So I don't have a number. And if you want,
Unfortunately, today's society won't be 0.
I would tend to agree with you. And we don't have any indication how long that program continues either. It kind of came out of nowhere. We got the first check and I remember coming to talk to you saying, what are we doing with this now?
Would you be comfortable putting 1,500 in as a placeholder?
Absolutely. Thank you. The suggestion in the treasurer. Come on board.
It'll be in the page, 30. I'm 35. 3035 was 1,500. 1,500 it is.
All right. No, I'm gonna just.
Go to their expenses on there.
29.
29.
Page 29, half, the half.
The only item of note that I can make that is either different from last year or will be different from last year that we expect is the coroner's position line, which is 4505.01. We budgeted that at 12,000 right after the numbers went in, talking to Stacy and Sandy. The actual number came back from the position, which will be 12,480. Everything else, and we're constantly reviewing the numbers. A couple of years ago, we made some changes working with the treasurer, working with Stacy and the board of supervisors. We made some changes on how we're doing this. It looks like the numbers are all within the range that we'd like to see them in right now. Now granted, if the second half of the year or the rest of the year changes and we have a significant number of unfortunate events and there are more necessary autopsies or other things that can certainly change. Now, their billing is typically way behind, so we know when you look at the numbers now, there might be a lot there. They usually catch up towards the end of the year and we start rolling in. But other than that, there are no significant changes in the coroner's budget. Everything is kept the same.
Tim,
Yes, sir.
the autopsy, just you said they start rolling like, but we've used 66 and 71 the past couple of years and we're at 34 halfway through and you don't know what, but we
Well, it
haven't
might be
even
3
come
months.
close to the 100,000
But
yet.
that might be 3 months, is what he's saying. That's how late they are. We don't really know.
Yep, some things are extremely behind with them. I mean, certainly the treasurer knows. We see them when we see them, unfortunately.
Right, but I'm just looking at the previous years, unless we've had a spike or we have more of a spike, I mean, we're 30,000 budget, 30,000 over anything we've hit previous years, that's all I'm just saying.
And there's no indication of a spike now, but I don't know that
80,000,
80,000 by 20.
and if we go flow through that, come back.
all right.
With the understanding you come back to committee if you run into that critical bill in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that we're not gonna perform, we're just gonna have to go back to the well and figure out where the money comes from.
And the next line, can we go to 70,000? I mean, on that one, that reasonable?
Oh,
Okay, yeah,
sorry.
70,000 on the next line down.
For morgue services?
Yeah. That was all, I would, yeah. We're headed there.
And how about the,
Mr. Campbell's surprised I'm giving a fund balance.
right? And then, we've got 45,000 at the removal and transport, which we've been at 17, and we're at 7, so like you say, come
25?
25 for that, is that what you?
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on those and stay in touch if there's any changes.
Thank you.
It might be a very busy year with resolutions.
I was wondering when finance started speaking about fund balance. We'll see.
Maybe with all the money that we're spending on the other side, the opioid stuff will be less over.
I'm a little confused on what we're doing here now. You and Al keep.
We're getting tighter. We're getting a lot tighter on the budget. So by getting tighter on the budget, a lot of these things.
Could I
He was-
make my statement?
You sure can. Your potential fund balance one?
That's where I'm headed, but the thing of it is what the numbers, where are you gonna get the money from? Because we've told every department head.
Come back.
Need more, come back. But we're telling each other, as we say, here's a well strike. So what are they coming back?
The money you're borrowing on the tan.
I don't think they're coming
Oh,
back.
wow. There you go. Quite a statement.
I don't think they're coming back, Mr. Shaw. If you budget to the knowns, I don't think you're running a high risk of VBAC. I really
No,
don't.
but we're never gonna have any fund balance. That's the only way you get it.
If we weren't at a 43% tax increase, I would agree with you 1,000%, you know?
Right.
Until we get the levy down, my fund balance has to be secondary.
Right.
It has to be.
Right, yeah, you can't tell the taxpayers that we're gonna build our fund balance back here and you get 45%. You can't do that, you gotta.
We aren't building it back. We're not even gonna be covering hedging our
Well,
bets here.
but you have to some way.
Oh, I know what you're doing and I'm just nervous because could be shooting ourselves in the foot too.
Well, this is why no matter where we get to, this is what makes next year worse.
And I think
we're having
we need to say that more and more.
No,
because
this is
somewhere
what,
along the line, we've got to do a hiring freeze that nobody has the stomach to do. That should have been done 2 months ago. I've supported you on that all along. Nobody else has the stomach for it. And then on top of that, we need to do cuts, which nobody wants to do that, but everybody knows
I
that
think, Dan,
next year is worse than next year, and here we are,
well, I think what we're really trying to do, Dan, is get a baseline as to where those cuts have to come in play. where we can get as tight as we can now, are we at 25 or 30%? And if we are, what do we do to get the next, how many ever percent that people can live with?
You're way over 30%.
Yes, we are. We're not below 40 yet. But we're trying to get there. We're trying to get there methodically, but it may get real radical as we get towards the deadline.
Well, having a hiring freeze isn't radical,
No,
and yet we're being radical on the budget, but we're not, it's not doing anything to the bottom line.
we were like 1.8 million off start the day that we had moved. But that was off of 17 million. So usually 1.8, you'd be there, but not when you start at 17 million. Right.
Okay, we worked through the coroners. What are we working in?
3410
Fire?
fire.
Fire?
Fire?
Fire Bureau, revenue 11.
Zero.
Revenue 0. Okay, that's easy. Expense 63.
Where's the one? Found the expense side yet?
Yeah, 63. 63 is fire. With the. Big one. So we got some equipment.
There you go.
Mhm.
There are no changes in the fire bureau from last year at all, other than the personnel number. What you see has gone down. So we have the 2 fire investigator trainees, which obviously are to reduce costs from the actual fire investigator. So that's why you see a small difference there. We did have some breakage because we ran without one of the deputy coordinators for a little while, and we actually ran most of last year without the trainees, so we're able to save some. Moving down into the point twos, fire investigation equipment. So obviously we have the 2 new trainees on. We do need to replace cameras. We need to replace some other fire investigation equipment there. Membership dues, so they're all required, they're all participating in the state chapter of the International Association of Arson Investigators, if I remember that correctly. Their annual currency and training, the cost for the Bi-County Training Center. The air system maintenance, so we have the bottle fill station over here that we maintain every year. It gets serviced, it gets certified, sometimes breathing air.
Currency training, is that printing currency? Because we could use some.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
And then their safety equipment and gear, so that's replacing their personal protective equipment, that's replacing, some of them don't have it yet, so some of them, that's actually procuring it for the first time. Other than that, we've kept everything completely flat.
So
In the 10,000 in the
Yes, sir.
safety equipment line,
Yep.
that's all under $500, not equipment level equipment.
That is like wearable equipment, so like fire gear, not anything that you would put a sticker on type equipment.
Non-asset.
Correct.
Thank you.
$27,000.
And I can assure you that provided you allow us to have the allocation, it will be spent this year. We know that we have new people that we have to outfit gear, and we have gear that's extremely old that needs to be replaced.
what is the 7,000 Washington County operations cost?
So that $7,000 goes towards the regular operations of the Bi-County Training Center that sits off the back of the airport property that us and Warren have split for better part of 20 years. I can let the fire coordinator talk about how much it gets used, or
It's more the departments that are closer to it than we use it.
But we do have some that use it.
And they use to make sure some state training.
There's some recent renovation. They may have to do some recent renovation. Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions under fire? What do you want?
all right, 3625 EMS.
Any revenue?
Revenue, zero.
They were on the page 65.
So when we look, and I know the budget officer and myself have had this conversation, when you look at these numbers solely for next year outside of the grant funding part, just like we do with the other cross-year grants that we've done with the treasurer in the past, when we get to the end of the year and we have money left from this year's grant, we will push it forward to next year. So when you look at those 0.1 numbers, these are the non-grant funded 0.1 requests. So this would be the ability for us to be able to continue some level. It will not be the level that we hoped to be able to continue the ALS first response program that we've been working for the last 3 years together with you all and the EMS agencies at getting up and running. That grant funded the startup of that. We're on to the part where we'd like to continue something, one for the community, two for the EMS agencies. Three, the other concern I have is we will definitely not get any more grant funding from the state if we drop that and completely let it go. I totally understand. Glenn and I have had this conversation. We understand the situation that we're in budget wise. The 25,000 for the EMS coordinator and deputy coordinator is not a change. The 135 that you see in the 0.1s, that's for the per diem medical providers to be able to continue providing service past the end of the grant, which would be April 1 on. Now, there was talk that there may be an extension for that grant. We have not heard any word on that yet. Certainly, if we were able to get an extension on the grant and make further use of the grant funding instead of our own, we would be glad to do that. We totally understand, and we'll keep in touch with the treasurer on that as we move forward, but there's been no talk yet. I think that the state knows that they gave us a pretty tight window to be able to use that funding. And we're doing the best we can, but certainly we have challenges just like every other local government. We're a little bit behind because some of the other counties were already doing things that they were able to take that funding and supplement what they were already doing. We were literally starting everything off from scratch.
So this 135 is under the assumption the grant doesn't continue currently.
The 135 would be correct, funded out of fund balance or budgeted fund from somewhere outside of the grant. We would obviously supplement with grant funding. If we were able to get more, we could take away or budgeted funds and put the grant towards that. But
That's a tough one. Guess we don't really want to lose what we've started.
Yeah, it's been a long road getting here.
Absolutely.
It's 135 and that's necessary to keep the program alive because I don't know if it'll survive loss of rain.
How about if we put it on the table and keep it now and it's on the list and so we got to.
Was the grant revenue there for it will roll over for the first 4 months?
Yes, it will push, right? Whatever's left at the end of the year.
He has to
No.
bring the unspent.
But that's not in there and this is.
I don't think you have any of the grant revenue in here. right?
The grant revenue is not in here only because that 135, even if the grant moves forward, that 135 would be beyond April. So the grant funds that are left in there would cover the beginning of the year. That would be what would
Well, I
happen
was
from
wondering
April
if we
1 to
could-
December.
Right, which is what I was alluding to. This is after the grant expires.
Correct.
Right, so what I was.
So you actually need more than this to pay them for the full year.
Would.
Right.
So when we move the revenue forward, we would say, we have the additional
I was
revenue.
right
left
now,
over
the
from
whole-
last
I
year.
thought-
We need to amend
So
the deal.
So the whole point one is budgeted.
So what would be at 160 full year?
And our hope would be that if you were to look at that, so whatever's left in revenue from this year to next, we would ask to move that revenue forward and then recognize that it would offset the expense of whatever the beginning of the year would be. So the
That means-
135 would stay the 135. We're talking the old grant, not a new one. If we got a new grant beyond April 1, where it got extended, then we could say,
What's the annual cost of the pure diem staff? The 12-month cost.
so right now, we're looking at 135 next year, but that would be significantly, we'd be reducing it. But we don't know yet because we haven't been
No.
operational. for a year.
What is the per diem cost for 12 months? Is it the 135 or is it more than 130?
So we're sticking to 135 right now.
So we could lower that, what we estimate would roll over and you save as far as completing the program. But the problem is the following year, 160. or
This isn't the amount after the grant, this is the amount for the whole year.
For the whole year, that's what he said.
So what we were looking, right, obviously we have the grant, we have to spend the grant, we know, we're locked into the timeline for.
Regardless of the grant, pretend the
So-
grant didn't exist. What's the cost of the point ones if there was no grant?
So if there was no grant at all, the cost of the appointment, I mean, certainly would go, we would say higher than 135. We're trying to be understanding of the situation and say, look, we're limiting ourselves to the amount of time we can put somebody out there, knowing that funding
Okay.
is not available.
But
So
it is
because they're,
135.
because they're per diem, you're
Correct.
setting yourself a ceiling.
Yes,
Beautiful.
I mean, right, that's why we looked at the entire thing and said, when the money's not available, we know we don't have anything to do.
But you're gonna get something against it.
Right, so why not, wouldn't you subtract what we think's gonna roll over just to save right now?
In
And
this,
then he adds them both in,
in
and it
this,
would go back to the 135.
in this instance, I would have Tim give you a projection of the grant rollover for the point ones. Just the point ones. Like we did in public health.
Oh, so you would actually add the money, I was gonna just wait and roll it over, but.
Whatever point ones you think will roll into 26. If you can give the budget officer that number,
Yep.
he can actually grab that.
Which would do the same thing,
You want it in the revenue line.
right?
Yep.
I was thinking you'd move them both. And it would do the same thing. So I would have taken it out of the expense and just move both.
We can't lower, you have to put in the expense what you're gonna spend.
Well, you would add it with the grant. You'd put it, you would actually add it with the grant when you.
So the grant isn't just point ones though. We
Correct.
need him to give you just a point one level, like you did with public health.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'll work for me.
thanks.
I think that's.
Get the same
And you-
place.
All right,
Okay,
so
thank
EMS training program, which we just started at the end of last year, which allowed for local reimbursement up to a certain amount for supplies and training materials for each of the EMS agencies. Obviously, now we'll have some of our own EMS people as well that will be required to provide some training. We kept the number the same. I know last year it was down significantly. We didn't start it until late. Certainly, we would ask to keep that similar, but we understand that we have to do something, we have to do something. Training is important to all of us, certainly in the EMS world, we're no different. No change in the conference cost for EMS staff, and that has not been significantly used over time. But in coordination and discussion with the EMS coordinator, they asked if we could keep that the same or similar. Medical supplies is a new expense, outside of the grant, but that would be us or the medics using things that we have to replace until we're up and running and billing people for services and those kind of things, which will take us some time to be able to do that.
Do you think that's a 1 year cost, a 1 year thing then? Or do you think, I mean, will it pay for itself over time?
I don't know that it'll ever completely pay for itself.
Right.
I think they'll always, and we'll always be way behind. I mean, ambulance billing is significantly behind. We'll never be ambulance billing. We would be essentially as an ALS first response agency, we would be billing the other agency typically that you jump on the ambulance with and provide service for. They would typically bill the patient. So long term, it would be more sustainable than not, but it would, I don't know that it'd ever be 100%.
Get from the hospital, but there's stuff that the hospital doesn't provide.
Yeah, yeah, and you have shelf life issues, and all that stuff. Okay. Just saying a way of, yeah, that's a tough one.
And the last one, I put it under the grant support line only because that was the only place I had for it to exist. We can create another line, or the treasurer can if we continue this. This is the gap ambulance coverage portion of what we did with the EMS sustainability project. So we put in $100,000 for that, and what that is, if you remember when we went through the project, it was identifying and sending out a gap ambulance that goes to a known gap where we know we don't have people. We don't have coverage, they don't have staffing for the day, whatever that is. That ambulance saves us pulling an ambulance from another district. So for example, if you were in Salem and we know Salem has a gap for a week, right? The gap ambulance can be relocated to that area. So we're not pulling an ambulance from Argyle to go cover a mutual aid call, which just creates a hole in another area of the county.
Does that happen right now?
It happens all the time,
Services.
Like on a weekly basis,
like on a daily basis.
on a daily basis?
So, and I mean, any of you that know how busy your EMS agencies are or how well they're staffed. I mean, you take an ambulance, a typical ambulance calls 2 hours, and that's and somebody who's relatively close to the hospital. When you have no staffing on, and that does happen regularly, if you turn on the scanner, there's probably 5 calls a day that go mutual aid, which require another agency to cover someone's call.
I know listening to the scanner, I comes down to the bottom quite a bit.
They're there all the time.
If you have a major incident, say multi-vehicle accident, and it ties up the entire squad, you know, all their ambulance, the whole corps is at that scene, you send that gap as a mutual aid to cover that station while they're tied up in that accident?
So the way that we use the gap goes wherever it needs to go. If it's assigned, we'll use Whitehall for an example, right? If we know Whitehall doesn't have anybody for the day and the gap's up there, we would be hesitant to pull the gap to send it to Cambridge if we know there's a hole in the north. So if we're sending 5 other ambulances, not that we wouldn't do it, we would do that by the closest ambulance. We don't want somebody to wait for an ambulance longer just because we know we have an available resource. But the gap is the scary part. If you know, I mean, you guys, in more terms on the fire side, when you know there's a large fire, they typically will get picky on mutual aid after the initial, they get the closest there. And then they'll make sure they don't empty out the entire area. If you empty out the entire area, we have a real big problem, right? So when you put the gap somewhere, we would use it if we needed to, but it wouldn't be your first pick unless they were the closest to the call. If they were the closest, absolutely, right? The closest available ambulance is what we want to get to a
So
patient.
this is for basically scheduled loopholes in the coverage.
These are for known gaps based on statistics or when we hear from an agency and they say, hey, we know we don't have somebody tomorrow. And we're only going to continue to rob our neighbors if we don't do something.
Would you necessarily send an ambulance or just send the people?
Well, right now, we would send an ambulance because all we have is the ability to contract with an agency to send the ambulance. I mean, long-term, you had people employed and they needed people to staff their ambulance. I mean, there's other counties through that whole EMS sustainability project, when we did the surveys, there's other counties that are basically hiring medics, hiring EMTs and contracting them out to agencies saying, right, you can pay us and we'll send you the people to staff your ambulances. Our goal with this was never to put the local EMS agencies out of business. It was to support them.
No, but I mean, if, I just meant if they're,
Yeah. If they needed
if all their apparatus is there, that's not the problem. They need people. That's a
Right.
different scenario.
The hardest part is ensuring that whoever is on there is familiar with their
With
stuff.
the material,
equipment.
right.
Everybody has the same or is required to carry the same things, but not the same thing, not the same model.
And maybe not the same compartment.
Right. And it is important. I mean, there's various ways to look at the long-term part of that. You know, our goal with the ALS first response was to get some level of service to a patient that is waiting and to keep the local ambulances running as best they can. You know, the gap is part 2 of the problem. When we know we have major gaps, we're a very long county, as you all know, and we only have 8 EMS in county agencies. So when there's a town that's covered by an ambulance that covers 2 or 3 towns, when they're not available, that's a huge
So
gap.
the
that we're
idea
looking
of
for.
the gaps, Putnam or White Creek, you're already there instead of having to go when.
Correct.
when the
Instead of having
call,
this,
the call comes in,
ambulance grant.
you're already in the vicinity.
Is there any other questions on EMS?
Point to my question was to make sure that we all understood it happens a lot more than we'd like it to, and there's a reason why we're listening, but a real reason that benefits everybody in the county, not just a small portion.
You're in for the next
3640. I have no idea what page. You have the
11
numbers.
numbers at 11.
All right. Revenue, we did leave at 205, but as the treasurer knows, we continue to see a decline in the amount of 911 surcharge money that comes back to us. Those are what you and I pay on our cell phone bills or our home phone bills that come back. The more with prepaid, it's typically where you buy it. So now that we have a significant amount of people with prepaid out there, they're paying those surcharges wherever they purchase their minutes, which is not here a lot of times. Dispatching services, no change. The change in the amount is because we did lose one agency. One of the Vermont agencies is being dispatched by a neighboring communication center now. Our rental, that's our tower rental that we pay for Willard Mount Defiance. Colfax, we don't pay for, thankfully we own it.
Presbyterian, we use the property, we shouldn't be paying for
We
it.
don't
So
pay
this
for
is money,
Presbyterian,
this money being paid to us.
Right.
correct? Down to point once. So relative to grants, I know we talk about revenue and recognizing grants. In follow up to the last email I sent you, we've gotten no notification on our state grants yet. We still don't even have to create your PSAP notification on what that's going to be, so it's very difficult and I would be nervous to put any numbers in right now because we have absolutely no idea what's coming.
So you make me do it, but,
So,
because it's gotta be in there, because you got the expense all in there.
yes, sir.
So that's the problem. But
And
it would
just,
really help. I mean, last year was $494,000 when it was amended.
and some of that we will have rollover, so the domestic terrorism prevention grant will roll over. We have, so the PSAP that's out there, we're waiting to submit. We're gonna have that $147,000. Now, what the state did last year was stretch that to a 2-year grant for the same amount of money. So obviously, we had already spent ours. And just a reminder for everyone at the table, that 147, we just offset personnel costs with that. We don't actually use it for anything that would be beneficial to us. We offset the personnel costs to dispatch.
Is the 147 the one that ended up 150, the budget?
The 147 is the one you put as 150. Yes.
Yeah,
Ready to go to the expense side.
Yes, sir.
so the terrorism prevention grant, it was a grant when we adopted the budget. That isn't there anymore because we amended it. But now is that a one that naturally occurs? Because
So
we amended a lot different number.
it has occurred in the last 2 years, so they merged the last 2 years and pushed them forward. So we're spending down the last 2 years of grants. We don't have a notification on whether that will reoccur again next year. We believe it may, but there is no indication past this year as of yet.
So I mean, I'm just saying that we amended that. Did we amend that and we shouldn't have?
We amended that to move money forward from the previous year. So that's why that number is as high as it is. Typically, that has been a 174. And it should stay at 174, but what is it, in the 300 range?
172.4 was what you got for the year before.
Okay, so 172.
Okay.
But there won't be any expenses with that if there's no money. We're not doing anything that
Right.
we would be doing if there wasn't revenue coming into us.
But it is already in the expense side. You just wouldn't do them if it doesn't.
It's not in the expense side for next year.
Oh, it's
There's
not.
no expense associated with that grant in their current.
Okay, so that one I wouldn't touch that one at all. But the PSAP side,
The PSAP side is,
that money's in there that you would spend.
it's our regular personnel.
Right.
We're not doing anything above and beyond.
866.
All right.
And what the 117,000 increase in funding?
Why the
So,
107?
because your contract settled, we know you're the.
Contract
Yeah.
settled, yes.
Scratch that. Scratch.
With the point twos, if you're ready to go there.
Yep.
The very first one, the 2012-01. So typically in the past, when we've done access control system upgrades, we've done them as part of a greater capital project. Either something at Burgoyne, the capital projects that we had done here to increase. So the sheriff has an urgent need. His access control system, which right now is tied into their Black Creek system, is we're deaf on the administrative side of the building and in parts and pieces of that attached to corrections. And it needs to be replaced significantly soon. So that $50,000 number, typically, we've never had to buy anything out of that line other than replacement parts and pieces. But that system needs to be replaced, and talking to the sheriff, it needs to be replaced as soon as possible.
And that's in your budget instead of his budget.
So we put it in here because all the access control costs for the entire county have
Are in
come out of
yours.
ours if it wasn't
Okay.
associated with a capital. The next one, the 2012-02.
You know, if there's a shot, sheriff could get some grant for that.
So we have talked about the potential for grant money. There is no known grant money available right now for that. The 2012-02, I think the budget officer would be happy to say that I would be comfortable zeroing that out for next year. With all of the projects that we've done, I think that we're at a place where if something comes up, we may just have to deal with it for a year or two. Or reallocate existing resources somewhere else in that.
Thank you.
The 2090 is all of the regular typical things that we need through the year. And yes, I know the discussions come up. Last year, we did not buy any communication center chairs. And we used that for something else. But yes, this is the chairs that they sit in 12 hours a day or 16, 18 hours a day. And they 100% get worn and do need to be replaced.
Day and a half chairs.
Ergonomically,
Oh,
it'll pay, it'll cost you later if you don't take care of it.
And we did not, we don't have any increases in anything else all the way down through with the exception of our maintenance contract line, which went up $2,700. For us, obviously, our maintenance contracts, everything is going up $2,700. That was the best we could do to say, those are all the things that we need to keep doing to make sure that the system in the center is operating.
Tim, I
Programs that
think
support
we're
it.
gonna take
Yes, sir.
I think we're gonna take that 50,000 for the capital plan,
Okay.
so we can remove that.
What's nice about that is we can actually take immediate action on that.
Absolutely.
I mean, as early as next Thursday, we can have that discussion to get that ball can start rolling at any time.
Okay.
Coming out of the capital project, that could be a little bit more immediate. You're talking about the access.
Control system.
So all the other access control stuff has come out of the capital plan, so it makes sense to kind of.
What's the capital plan number on that one?
Didn't the sheriff have a separate capital plan on that?
It has its own numbers, all that's all right. Farms are in there.
I thought it did. No, it's capital project 125.
It's 120.
So we'll take 50,000 out of the 246 unallocated and allocated.
This year's money.
It sounds like it sounds like the sheriff might appreciate it if it was done this year.
Yeah.
But you can do it whenever, when it's coming out of the capital
But the
plan.
capital plan it could start,
You start
as early as,
February.
well, it could start today, technically.
Right, but if you can't get it till February,
Well, maybe when, yeah, you can talk to the budget officer after the meeting and determine when you want that to happen.
but that should come to our next one.
You should, yes, unless you want it out here today, but you may want to talk to Tim first.
Less than that.
Yeah.
Right.
Does it have to? Needs to go to next Thursday, do we need to have a motion?
Yes, you might want
Out
it
of
from
this
your
committee.
committee. Yeah, send it, that way we don't forget it.
I'll make a motion to send it to finance.
Yeah.
Nate, you second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Okay. All right, down to our next lines here. The maintenance contracts, these are all the softwares that
Those are all the different component systems that
all those unforeseen costs.
to support everything. Multi-function printer, we're holding with the same old one, it's working just fine. That's the cheapest thing on the list, but. Radio microwave systems, that's obviously what the backhaul components to everything that gets the radios here. Our tower site rental costs, that's what we pay per year in tower site rental total. No change in any of the reference lines, training.
Down to the next page.
And we certainly will work for fleet services. We're not looking, and that's including the cost of the ALSFR, so we'll be monitoring and we're gonna try and make sure that. We're on top of those and not increasing the bottom number there for now. Our hope is to be able to be manageable and not do it. We haven't gotten close to it yet. So this does include, when you look at the number and say, well, there's some difference in there, we'll have one more, that EMS vehicle will be out there that isn't out there now. So we're gonna try and hold the cost of that.
Because we don't want the board to lose sight of the bus, right, the emergency response. At some point, we have to have that conversation.
But yeah, I wouldn't even go there.
Well, I don't want to lose sight of it, because it's a big number, right, so.
Yeah, the mobile command post was born in 2002. It is still functional. I mean, it has some duct tape and parts and pieces that, but it does get a lot of use, and it's out there all the time.
We have to kind of remember, we have some of these larger tickets.
What that is.
How much it would cost to replace? Not off the top of my head, I'm sure it's,
$3/4.
I'm sure it's in 3/4, somewhere around
Can we get
$1,000
Best
with
guess?
equipment, everything.
You think that's
Yeah.
close?
I would think so.
Can we get a used military vehicle on this chance?
Absolutely. We can be on the hunt for something.
One of those big Univac.
In a year or two, they'll have electric buses coming, so all the school buses will be coming out.
It can be a pilot program.
There you go.
I think that, we'll have to go for grant on this.
So the last two things in your packet, if you don't have any questions on any more budget stuff, you should have the coroner's travel plan in your packet and the departmental travel plan in your packet.
That's cool.
Yes, sir. I'm here to help.
Yeah,
No,
those are, yeah, and that conference, is that mandatory for them?
Some of the quarters are required to go, depends on how many education points or items they need for the year.
Yeah.
And then, obviously with us, that's what we plan for. That's not always how we end up attending. I mean, especially on the emergency management side, it's just Glenn and I, a lot of times we're not able to go to everything anyway. Most of them, or at least for us, are grant funded. You do see a lot of budgeted training funds, but the majority of them, there isn't enough time in the fund weekday to be able to attend everything. Need to and attend to here. And then on the very back of your packet is just the org chart. Yeah. Good idea. Never mind, you don't have that. You want it? I'll tear it off mine again.
Yeah.
No, on the end of your packet though, you do have one of these, which is important if you don't have it hanging in your town hall. Please do. We just had a nice visit with the town of White Creek the other night. And it is approaching boil water season and all those other things, and everybody likes to make sure that they're getting notified in the event of those things. So the best way to get notified is to make sure you sign up for notifications. And we can make sure that we keep the members of our community advised as to what's going on. And then I think the director's just gonna.
Copy this, would it be good enough to still work?
Yeah,
It would be.
yep. I'll send you the original though, so if you want to print one.
Well, I'm thinking it might be not a bad thing to do at a town meeting once a year. To just pass them out, whenever the crowd's biggest.
Lots.
Yeah, maybe. I gave you this.
Thank you.
Put it on your website.
So we got a couple of personnel.
Good morning.
Yeah.
This afternoon, Glenn,
So it is. 53 minutes late.
I was hoping it was somewhere.
Just personnel changes, again, as we discussed in August, on August 26th. Fully understanding the budget situation, but doing our due diligence as the department for personnel, requesting 2 new dispatch positions and changing the administrative secretary to public safety specialist. So those are coming to personnel, as we discussed on August 26th.
You're, and 2, and we have 1 vacancy there currently, is that?
Correct.
How long is that vacancy been open?
About a month. And then the other,
We already had that motion, so.
It's
We're
at
moving to personnel as soon as, right? You need to do something.
you don't have to do anything there. Were there any questions about the 2 new positions he's asking about that you're gonna see those next week? At
Right.
Personnel and finance, but I don't know if you have any questions.
No.
Okay.
It's just, it's hard to add when we need to subtract.
I understand that. And
And, boy,
And requesting to carry over 120 hours of vacation time unused for the deputy director. Says anniversary date is November 1st. And just due to activity in the office, any complex incidents and large projects, wasn't able to take the time.
And remind us what the rules are. When you roll it over,
It'll go to
it has,
personnel,
but it has a time limit even if it gets
Yeah.
rolled over, right?
three months, I believe.
is there a motion to move it to personnel?
I'll move it personnel.
Nate seconds it. Any other discussion on that? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Both? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing some-
Gonna be a Merry Christmas. No, how it goes.
It's not one.
Yeah, New Year's Eve.
Taking a little bit.
We're in recess.
Lunch.